past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season. We're gonna be kids. Grandstand AFL
on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
12 games to go in the home and away season, and Richmond's finals fate is in their own hands. Win and you're in, and see what could be possible. But the young Hawks will be keen to spoil the party as captain Ben McAvoy announces at the end of the season his career will come to a close. It's Richmond and Hawthorn in round 22 of the AFL. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. I'm Matt Clinch. It's slightly overcast conditions and we might get some rain this afternoon, so around 12 degrees. But the footy is heating up with finals on the horizon, and just the precinct around the MCG has a real hub about it. Jarman Impey celebrates his 150th game for the Hawks this afternoon. We also got one of our whistleblowers, Robert Finlay, will officiate his 300th match when the Tigers take on the Hawks. Corbin Middlemaster called the action alongside me. Corby, welcome.
Thanks, Clinchy. It's nice to be here again. As you set it up off the top, it's that simple for Richmond. Win and they play finals this afternoon. Now, the Hawks don't have a great record against Richmond in recent times. They've won only one of their last 8 games, and that run even extends all the way back to Hawthorn's glory years. So between 2012 and 2015, Brett Delidio was part of Richmond's outfit during that time. They met 4 times across those 4 years in which Hawthorn featured in grand finals in each of the 4 seasons, obviously winning 3 premierships, and yet Richmond won that head-to-head battle 3-1 in those seasons. So it is a very slight clash of colours with the yellow and brown up against the yellow and black. But it has been more the yellow and black in recent times in these fixtures. The
beauty of working for the national broadcaster is get a few ads, which for our 2 experts mean when they quickly dash out to go to the bathroom as the opener's playing and then back in their seats ready to go. Brett Delidio, Mark Murphy, welcome to you.
Thank you, Clinchy. And, I'd echo that, Corby. We used to sit there on Mad Monday and be like, well, premiers, I suppose. Knocked them off. But I've had a little haircut, I've freshened up. You have, Corby, but nothing's as fresh as Matty Clinch's fresh wheels that he's got on today. He is rolled in with some swag.
Yeah, Mark Murphy tried to give me a bit of help there.
No, I love them, mate. They look great.
Bit of fashion advice. How's your week been as a newsbreaker?
No, you've been listening on the way in too.
Very good.
Yeah, I like that. No, mate.
Bit of correspondence from your Richmond mates?
A few boys call me Cornsey, which is great. I appreciate the banter, but with people that I don't know, I'm trying to say that I'm trying to be relevant. You can jam it. I'm not interested in that sort of feedback.
No. You're just talking about what's taking place out on the field, and that's what we want you to do, and we love you doing so. What's your confidence level in Richmond at the moment? It feels like they're doing a lot right.
Yep.
Qualify for finals and then see what's possible, but they just have to tick off these last couple of steps.
Yeah, they certainly do. No doubt they'd be a far better team with Dylan Grimes down in their back line and Dustin in that team, but they're doing enough right, competing really well, and it's not just the old stages in Trent and Shane Edwards, Jack up front that are getting the job done. Dion's been amazing of late. Tommy Lynch kicking big goals, big second half against Brisbane and another 4 last week. So I'm excited about what they can do, but. Yeah, Hawthorn, no doubt, one of my best mates, Chrissy Newman's in the box for Hawthorn. He'll be revving up their back 6 and making sure that they're ready to go, but also that they'll be trying to turn the tables on that 1-8, did you say, Corby, before, that the Tigs have had of late? So
1-7 in the last 8.
1-7 in the last 8. So, the Tigers have had the wood over them, that's for sure, but no easy feat today, even though the ladder position would suggest otherwise.
Murph, we've got to see a bit of the Hawks this season and the first season under Sam Mitchell. There's been some great highlights for him. They've got a chance to try and win 4 on the trot here, but the most intriguing part is how will he try and combat Shea Bolton, who all of a sudden has become one of the most watchable players in the AFL. If he could finish in front of goal, he might elevate to that next level, but it'll be an interesting battle. Does he send Finn McGuinness to him? Does he give him a hard sort of tag when he starts in the middle of the ground and follow him forward? How do you imagine that'll play out this afternoon?
Yes, Clinchy, good to be here. Yeah, Shea Bolton is easily my favourite player to watch in the competition, so I'm glad you brought him up. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because do you send someone to him because he goes up through the midfield, then just drifts, or doesn't really drift, he works hard forward and finds himself kicking goals and a lot of behinds as well from time to time, but he's a special player, a special talent, and we've been lucky enough to watch him a lot this year as well. So, yeah, I think it's probably worth someone, not just letting him do what he, just not letting him waltz around and do what he wants. I think it's important to have some body contact on him as much as you possibly can. He's going to work really hard towards goal, so I think Hardwick's probably a perfect one to play.
Played on Rankin last week, so I'd tip he'd be the one. I reckon McGuinness would go to Prestia, given the form that he's been in.
Yeah, so I think Hardwick will definitely play on him when he does come forward, and when he's through the midfield, I think it's just up for a Hawthorn accountability.
And for Hawthorn, obviously Ben McAvoy's career will come to a close, so a captain who's set standards and tried to lead from the front. He hasn't been there as much this year as he would like to with that neck injury. There's some questions around Hawthorn's sort of list when all of a sudden you look at Luke Bruce and Jack Gunston, and on their day they've still got quite a potent forward line if they can get enough of it in the middle of the ground.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Like with Mitch Lewis down there coming through, Kajitsky as well, with those two older boys, like they are pretty potent up there. But it's going to be that supply that you spoke about, Clinchy, and whether or not Tom Mitchell, Jager O'Meara, Josh Ward's had a good couple of weeks. I've really liked his inclusion coming back in as a young guy, been getting really good numbers, works hard both ways. So they've certainly got some players in there. But they're probably, and admittedly, a couple of years away from really contending, you'd think. They've hopefully added a little bit more talent at the end of the year through the draft and via the trade period. But look, they've still got a lot of talent there, Clinchy, that's for sure.
How's the social media team this week at the Hawthorn Football Club put out a little post saying, hey, rising star select us if you can just pay attention to Connor McDonald, because we feel like he deserves a nom and he hasn't had one as yet. Team comes out on Friday night and he's not in the squad, and all of a sudden he's the Medi sub today, so it might be hard for him to try and get a nom from that position.
Well, they need a bit of communication within their football department to their social media department, obviously, because they're trying to give him a pump up, and then the footy department haven't quite seen that one, so that's interesting.
Do you know there's a good rumour doing the rounds that the press centre last night, there may have been, when Keziah Pickett's goal flew through last night, a certain member of the Carlton digital media team that had a laptop fly off their desk at that particular stage as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it a rumour or a fact?
It's a rumour. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I've heard about it from good sources.
Yeah, well, I think, as I said on the pre-game, I think there was a few bottles of champagne being opened, I think, with about 2 minutes or 3 minutes to go when they were 8 points up, and it looked pretty hard that they were going to get... you could see a draw almost happening, but being beaten, I think, from being 8 points up with 2 minutes and 40-odd seconds to go is it's a tough loss, and obviously someone in the
that's good la-las though, isn't it?
The communications department's obviously been pretty disappointed with Cossie's goal late.
Are you aware of the stat that in the history of the AFL, no team has spent the whole season in the top 8 only to lose their spot in the final round of the home and away season?
Well, let's hope that continues, Clinchy, for all Carlton fans out there, but it's going to be a huge last Sunday of the home and away season, with obviously Hawthorn playing the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs need to win that to give themselves a chance. And then you've got obviously Carlton and Collingwood next Sunday at 3:20. It's going to be huge next weekend. But we've got a huge game obviously today, so Richmond need to...
I'm cheering so hard against it, Murph. I couldn't tell you, as a Richmond supporter.
Well, and that's expected from Richmond supporters, especially ones who've been done in 2013.
We got done it in 13, so hopefully we can come over the top here and dodge it this year.
Ben McAvoy is giving his second last address to the Hawthorn players as they look to break and head into their position. So Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass to call the action. Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy are your experts. The final member of our team sitting in the front row of the grandstand this afternoon is Jess Webster. Jess, welcome to you.
G'day, Clinchy. Great to be here. Overcast conditions down here at ground level. We're sitting around 13 degrees, but the wind chill makes it feel a couple of degrees cooler. A little bit of wind about as well, so the players will have to contend with that. And a decent crowd building here. Plenty of Tigers fans in the stands to hopefully see their side cement a spot in the finals this afternoon.
Thanks, Jess. Hopefully that rain stays away. Good to see a couple of the Tigers on it before the game, with Kane Lambert doing a lap of honour alongside Josh Caddy. And Basher Hooley was also mentioned in that presentation as well.
He was fishing.
So the Tigers battle to make September gets underway in the penultimate round. It's Hawthorn and Richmond from the MCG. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
The last two great dynasties of the competition today, just all about the Tigers trying to make September, as Nankervis wins the tap down to Prestia. Hand pass to Bolton, he kicks to half forward. Running back though is Jecker, gets the first disposal for the Hawks. A hand pass to Sicily in the long sleeves. His kick inboard dangerous and turned over. And here's Tyler Sonzi, who takes the mark for the Tigs. The red Sharon, he kicks to the top of the goal square, but turns it over, and Jacker again on the intercept mark for Hawthorn. Both teams in their traditional jumpers. Richmond home game, so black shorts with the black jumper and the yellow sash, and Hawthorn the brown and gold stripes with the white shorts. As the kick from Jacker out towards Kazitsky, spills the mark, falls down to Broad. Hurried kick inside the forward 50 and intercepted again as Scrimshaw takes the mark for Hawthorn. He'll flick the kick out wide to Impey in his 150th. Dangerous though. Pickett intercepted. Spills to Dan Rioli. 1-2 hand pass with Lynch. Rioli now gives it to Prestia from 48 metres out. His kick's offline. It misses everything. Out on the full. 62 seconds in. No score either way. No late change.
Finn McGuinness has got the job on Shea Bolton, so that'll be interesting to see how he handles that. It would have been the first time I reckon he's had the tag.
He has the footy in the back pocket at the city end, sends it towards McAvoy. Kazitsky in the pack as well. Spoils to the front. Broad tries to knock it inside 50. Sonsi gathers. Hand pass looking for a revolt just wide of him. He might get another go at it though. Not taken cleanly by Jecker. And the hand pass straight over the boundary line is deemed under pressure, and a throw in 35 metres around from the Tigers' goal. Richmond heading to the city end in the opening term. And a crowd probably of over 40,000, maybe a bit more than that for a Sunday afternoon. Thrown back in, Nankervis in front position. Nat knocks it down for the Tigers. Onto it Nash, his kick was smothered though. Still a chance for McGuinness, who clears the kick up to the wing. Tarrant waits for it for the Tigers, gathers the half volley. Hand pass to Dan Rioli, links up with McIntosh at right half forward. Drives a long kick towards Lynch, he flies against three. In front position, McAvoy for the Hawks. Gets the hand pass away to Blank, his kick looking for Ward. He's chopped off. Camden McIntosh takes the mark at right half forward.
Not sure the ball's been in Hawthorn's forward half as yet, 2.5 minutes in. Crowded forward 50, the Tigers to the city end of the opening term, which, as you know, Lids, means they're coming home to the punt road end. And Camden McIntosh says to hell with it, I'm going to have a ping.
Well, he's fresh.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure he's got the journey, but good on him for backing himself.
7 goals for the year. Camden McIntosh will have a look from about 55 out. It won't get there. Lynch in the goal square. Strong contested grab. And they won't be happy with that as Blank and Jack are trying to contest it on the line, and Tom Lynch will go back and have a relatively easy set shot for the first of the game.
No, I dare say Sam Mitchell won't be too happy sitting in the box, because usually you have your key defender sort of locking down your tall forward and have an extra come in and be the spoiler there, but they sort of all went to sleep, didn't they?
Lynch has been told he's actually a step outside the goal square, so as a result he's on a slight angle. He's spitting distance away from the goal line. Tom Lynch walks in, a 29-year-old, kicks the first of the game. Dream start for Richmond. The Hawks have barely had a look at it. 3.5 minutes in, Richmond one straight. Hawthorn yet to score. Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy, Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup, that one of Blank or Granger Barras taking Tom Lynch. He's obviously got the experience, but he's just a mountain of a man. He's been, the last couple of inside 50s, he's been standing there in the goal square just hailing cabs. Just get it into me. I want it in deep. And finally, Camden McIntosh, he was... I'm going to say he was having a shot, Murph. I don't think that was a layup kick, but Tom Lynch, and he gets in front and gets his big bits on it. James Blake just didn't get the chance to get around him.
See the story during the week, Murph, that Camden McIntosh actually been importing some scooters.
I did see that.
That was humorous, wasn't it?
That was very good.
Not just for his team mates, but also for Damien Hardwick, who ordered a couple as well, and they finally arrived after a little bit of a delay.
So Tigers strike first through Tom Lynch, back in the middle of the ground. The clearance going the way of Richmond. Prestia to Cochin, kicks inside 50, spoiled away from Revolt, front centre. Sonsi kicks inside 50, and in front position, Granger Barras knocks it out of play. In front of Cumberland, who appeals for deliberate. The umpire says, throw it in, 30 metres around from the Tigers' goal.
It did make me think, though, Murph, what sort of motor transport is a scooter anyway? Who's taking a scooter anyway?
Well, I did have one for about 18 months. We'll get back to that.
Just set that up nicely. Nankervis taps it down. Tigers deep in attack. Can't get a disposal away. Through the arms back, wanting a free kick, not given. Blank clears for the Hawks. It's a half back. Kazitsky's outnumbered. He tries to knock it away. Dan Rioli for the Tigers. Hand pass to Braun. Corralled by Bruce. And as a result, the hand pass goes out of play.
Just doing my bit for the environment, Corby, you know me. So the electric scooter, just a better alternative than the second car.
So you would arrive to training at Prinny Park with a scooter?
Yep.
As the captain of the Carlton Football Club?
Not captain.
Right. Post-captain days.
There's another question there. I'm going to let it go. Prestia kicks inside 50 for the Tigers. Long towards Lynch and Revolt. Up was Lynch. Couldn't complete the mark. And then Cumberland is shoved out of play by Blank for a boundary throw-in where the footy has been largely locked in the forward 50 for the Tigers at the city end. They're a goal. Hawthorn yet to score 6 minutes in.
Tom Lynch looking ominous at the moment. It's a big job for James Blank coming out of the VFL midway through the year.
First 7 inside 50s for Richmond. From the boundary throw-in, it's knocked back out of play and we'll have a throw-in.
I think Hawthorn will be pretty reliant on big Benny McAvoy getting back and filling that hole and being there for another mode of support for his defenders.
Richmond are the number 1 inside 50 team in the league through the first 21 rounds. Interestingly, both these teams last and second last for clearances, which obviously hasn't really been Richmond's game even through their premiership years. From the restart, it comes to Hardwick. He's tackled hard, taken to ground. And we're going to have a ball up, or will the ball end up out of play? It was Tom Lynch again. You mentioned Lids looking ominous. A big heavy tackle there on Hardwick. It is over the line. So a boundary throw in 51 metres out from the Tigers' goal at the city end. As then Curvis reaches over the back, wins the tap down to Ward, hands it to McGuinness, who's right in front of him with a bit of work on Bolton this afternoon. Hand pass to Sicily, gets it to Newcomb, under pressure, hand pass back to the outer corridor, but it's picked off. Jaden Short, hand pass to Baker, floats a kick inside 50 for the Tigers, turned over. And Hardwick with the intercept mark at centre half back. He goes out towards the southern wing.
Marlon Pickett takes the mark, gets the hand pass away to Broad, Short to Revolt, right on 50. He's hard out to the left, and on his best day, he's probably within striking distance.
It's good lower of the eyes, wasn't it? Just to hit that 50 to 70 area. Gives you a chance to either find another connection or, if you're Jack's case, you can back yourself. We're going to have to go the talk from here, though, with his old legs.
33 years of age now as he veers out to the right. Rewalt gives it everything he's got towards the goal mouth. Bolton's in the pack, spoiled away by Sicily. Into the back pocket where Morrison for the Hawks. Hand pass to Newcomb, good little sidestep. Allows him to drive a kick up towards half-back, but the Tigers are well set. And Goodkus takes the intercepting mark, centre of the southern wing. Richmond by a goal.
Top 10 pick in last year's draft, Gibcus with a long 60-metre drop punt all the way into the forward pocket. And a good mark from Jecker, standing in front of the pack. Emerson Jecker in his 7th game, 198 centimetres, 96 kilos, 20-year-old. He goes short. And away to Scrimshaw, and Scrimshaw then hits up Ward, who's got it at half-back. And a short kick to Sicily. And a slow play here, the Hawks. He's just going to go long to Newcomb in a one-on-one. Wrestling out there with Cochin. Cochin brings it to ground, and now Newcomb tackled front on by Vlosten, who is out there and playing. We'll have a ball up here just forward of the wing for the Hawks. Ball hasn't been in their forward 50. First 10 inside 50s of the game, all to the Tigers.
Tossed up in the air, Nankervis won it down straight to Tom Mitchell of the Hawks. Hand pass to Ward off balance. It's a barrel towards the left forward pocket. Awkward bounce for Tarrant. It clears him. Kaczynski onto it, end over end. Beautiful finish. Deep in the left forward pocket. And Robbie Tarrant's probably entitled to feel a little bit unlucky, and didn't Cozzy make him pay. The Hawks are on the board with their first inside 50, and the game's locked up at 1 goal apiece through 9 minutes.
Well, the oval-shaped ball has really bitten one there for Robbie Tarrant, because he had that ball his name written all over it, and it's just done an absolute sideways turn straight to Kaczynski, and what a finish in the left-hand forward pocket. Just a little dribble, a little Dacos-like goal from the boundary there by the big fella, but they had their first inside 50 and first goal, so a bit of a hazard ball forward, and Hawthorn find themselves on the end of it.
It's always the way, isn't it? You have so much dominance, but then a team goes forward their first time and they kick a goal.
Yeah,
it gives you a bit of confidence, settle down Hawthorn, which would be a good start for them.
Mentioned Vlosten, he barely trained during the week. He did train at times with almost a big mattress on his left side after being kneed in the ribs by Charlie Dixon last week. He doesn't seem to have the guard on, though, after some chatter that he would play with it. Starts the game, scores a level here through the first 9.5 minutes of action. Crooked bounce in the middle from the secondary ball up. First clean touch for Prestia. Hand pass to Short. Kicks out for Lynch. Bounces 1 metre in front of him. Spills through to Cumberland. Can't take it clean. Now Lynch grabs it. He's tackled and caught holding the ball, trying to take on Blank. And the mid-season recruit gets it for Hawthorn. The key defender, he goes short to Sicily in front of the Richmond race.
in the long sleeves this afternoon. Can poke a kick over the top to Moore, who's working up the ground and marks at left half back.
I can see why Alistair Clarkson didn't like the long sleeves.
Not a good look.
I rate it.
Kicks towards half forward. Bolter in front position. Gunston tries to wrestle with him, wins the footy for the Hawks. Hand pass to Sicily, missed Impey, who now lays a big tackle on Vlosten. Back to Dan Rioli, to Broad. He's searching, hand pass up the wing. Bounces in front of Sicily and Nash, who slipped over. Camden McIntosh gathers for the Tigers. To Broad. He's brought down, turns it over. Shields for the Hawks. Gives it to Tom Mitchell. He's ridden into the turf by Dan Rioli. And the umpire says throw it in.
Just got a little stat there to the name.
Yeah.
As he's being tackled, just popped it over the boundary line.
They've stepped up their pressure and their work ethic, Hawks, in the last 2 minutes.
Goal apiece through the opening 11 minutes. Thrown back into play. A chance for Bruce or Moore as Moore dives in down low from the ruck battle and wins it, but is tackled immediately. And the umpire will throw it up.
Not working with a heat colour-wise, are they, Murph? The yellow and brown?
Yellow and brown, long sleeves. I'm not too sure about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's terrible.
I've got one. I shot one with Big Rough after our last games. Very tight.
Scores level. 11 minutes into the opening term from the ball up. It's Hawthorn who went it from the stoppage. Newcomb hand pass to Nash, kicks to the top of the goal square. Gunston down there, clean bowls him. Bolter got a kick away under some pressure from Bruce. Trickles out of bounds and a throw in forward pocket for the Hawks. 12 minutes into this opening term.
Nick Floston currently setting up as a +1 in defence for the Tigers.
Mark Murphy alongside Brett Delidio. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemouse calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Kaczynski with the Hawks into attack, knocks it down. But Broad for the Tigers, turns it over. Hand pass straight to Newcomb. Hard against the boundary. Gunston tries to fire it back. It's spoiled by Short. He gathers up against the boundary line. Runs across his defensive goal mouth. Risky kick to half back. Scrimshaw underneath. Surely a free kick. As almost a professional free kick from Edwards gave him a shove, which allowed the footy to have to be returned to him. Out to the left, 50 metres out from goal. Jack Scrimshaw has it. He puts it towards the teeth of goal, looking for one of the flyers. Pickett rises in the pack and takes the mark. What can't Marlon Pickett do? And a highlight 30 metres out from his defensive goal as he comes out to Vlosten.
It's a fair vertical leap as Vlosten kicks down the wing and Blank wins a one-on-one against Lynch, takes the mark. He goes short to Sicily. Logo member side. Is he the next captain of Hawthorn, Leeds?
You'd probably think so, wouldn't you?
And James Sicily kicks inside the forward 50. Good mark, Gunston. Arriving at the right time, stuck the mitts up, and he's got it left half forward, 40 metres out.
Just to go on with that, though, a little bit, there's a lot of talk about the rise of Dylan Moore and his ability to have the respect of guys on and off the field, does the right thing, leads by example, but also stands up in meetings and willing to let blokes know. But this bloke hasn't lost any class over the journey, has he? Jack Gunston, his ability forward of the footy, very, very good.
He's kicked 2 bags of 5 in his last 3 games. Gunston's kick is left and stays there.
Been quite a transformation if James Sicily is the next captain. You know, being that
from where he was,
from that hothead kid who come in and give away lots of free kicks in his early on in his career, but he's obviously turned into such a star of the competition.
First lead change, Hawks by a point, 1-1 to 1 straight after 14 minutes.
Which is quite a turnaround after the Tigers had 9 of the opening 10 inside 50s. The kick up towards the wing from Vlosten. Lynch can't take the mark. Edwards swoops onto it to Cochin, almost run down. Links up with Lynch on half forward. Kicks for Revolt down low. He gathers in the pocket, trying to find a way around Jecker. Back onto his right, dribbles it to Cumberland. Gathers, hand pass to Shea Bolton, who kicks the goal. Frenetic hand passing from the Tigers and ended up in the most dangerous of hands, and Shea Bolton did the rest. Tough one for Finn McGuinness there. And the Tigers return to the lead by 5 points. 2 straight 12 to Hawthorn 1-1-7. 14 minutes go on opening term on ABC Sport.
Perfect start for Shea Bolton, who's currently getting the hard tag, and to get forward and get dangerous and kick a goal early on when you're getting tagged, that just puts a lot of doubt in the tagger's mind, doesn't it, Lids?
Well, exactly right, but it was just that little scrabby kick forward. But again, the bloke that stood up in the last 4 or 5 weeks, Noah Cumberland, just in the right spot at the right time. Another goal assist for him, quick, sharp hands, and Shea Bolton does the rest. They also had Morris Rioli Jr. just sitting in the goal square all by himself. So Well, they got out the back there, and the Hawks will be wanting to get set up a little bit better next time around.
He was alongside him, McGuinness. It just shows that good players can correct just that smallest gap.
That's exactly right.
Shea Bolton, 40 goals, 39 now for the year. Second lead change in the game. Tiggs by 5 points out of the centre. O'Meara, hand pass to Sicily. Kicks down to half forward. Bruce can't mark. Spills to Dan Rioli. And a hand pass to Miller across the half back line. Gives it back to Dan Rioli. Sweeping hand pass in the middle of the ground for Graham. Moves it on inside the centre circles. Unkind bounce for Cochin. Sicily for the Hawks. Quick hand pass forward to Scrimshaw. He dishes it off. The kick comes inside the forward 50. Flying for it is Moore. Got it to Gunston. Took on the tackler. Pinged holding the ball. And a free kick going Bolter's way deep in defence. And he can save the day for Richmond. And a potential shot on goal. Kicks across the goal mouth. Finds Kipkis. Pokes the pass to his other key defender in Tarrant. And he chips further afield along that southern boundary line to Shane Edwards.
Tigers by 5 points. Edwards veers out to the right. Gains every metre he can. Kicks up towards Lynch and Jekka. Jekka did well. Worked him underneath and takes the mark. Did so legally. Quickly turns and kicks back inside his defensive 50 and Scrimshaw takes the mark.
Had some great one-on-ones so far, Checker. Been really important down there for them.
He's played as a forward and a defender. The kick out to the wing. Morrison and Morris Rioli scrap for it. A cruel bounce that goes out of play. Do you ever collect any of opposition players' jumpers, Murph? Is that a little bit weird?
It's not weird, but no, I was never lucky enough to get an opposition jumper.
We were good mates from a long way back. That's why we sent one to each other. That's why.
And is it on a private display? It's in a box somewhere.
You don't want to know where it is.
Edwards for the Tigers kicks up towards 50. Blank meets it with a boot as he dribbles it out. And it rolls out of play. Dirk Nannis, one of our cricket experts, said he had just boxes of old cricket gear, which he trying to wrestle.
I still remember
throw it out, give it to the salvos.
I still remember Cam Guthrie asking for Juddy's jumper, and it was round 18.
Yeah,
so it was quite surprising. I think Juddy gave it up to him. He didn't know what to do.
It used to be very commonplace in footy. There was the old tradition, particularly after grand finals and state of origin games, you'd swap jumpers, but a died art. As a quick kick inside the forward 50 for Richmond. Jim Morris sold a dummy, then tripped over his own feet. Spills down to Cumberland, jams it on the boot, but misses out to the left or behind. Richmond by 6 points, 2-1 to 1-1. 17 and a half minutes into the opening turn. Gee, I'm not sure it was his own feet. It might have tripped over the outstretched legs of Blank, who had fallen over, looking on the replay, so might have sold Morris a little short.
Hardwick with the kicking duties for the Hawks, bangs it in as long as he can towards the middle of the ground. Floston's well set, he takes the mark. McAvoy couldn't get a fly at it. And the Tigers a chance to reload in the middle of the MCG. Out to Dan Rioli, who spreads it wider still, and Baker takes the mark, wants to go short. And it's a good option, and Graham takes the mark just outside 50. A congested forward 50 for the Tigers. It's got Lynch deep. Rewald in the pocket. Graham just sends it in that vicinity. Jack went up early and Tom Lynch at the back takes the mark. Did he impede on the marking contest, Jack? It's ended up in Tigers' hands one way or another.
Yeah, look, he faked it out after the...
Didn't he?
Oh, jeez.
What was the old term? Realistic marking attempt?
Yeah.
Was that a realistic marking attempt?
Well, he's taken Jekka out of the play and hasn't touched the footy, so it should have been a free kick in my opinion. It was well read by Tom Lynch, third in line.
48 goals for the season for Tom Lynch, a chance for a second in the opening term. And looking to really start on a positive note for the Tigers. Lynch comes in, converts from just outside the goal square. He has 2 of Richmond's 3. They're 3-1-19 to the Hawks, 1-1-7. 19 minutes gone, opening term. You're with Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy.
It's an interesting one, Lids, because Hawthorn obviously getting a lot of numbers back and they were sitting in a lot of the space, but they still had their 2 key targets playing basically 1v1 deep. Yep. So
no help.
They need, whether that's Ben McAvoy getting back to as the ruckman to stand with these defenders and be that third man in, or to have Sicily do the same. But they were sort of covering off holes, which you can understand, but they need to try and get some midfielders back to cover them and then be able to try and impact the contest in the air by one of their taller players.
So the first 10 inside 50s of the game for the Tigers. It's evened up from that point on with both teams having 5 since. Yet Richmond starting to get some reward for their early dominance on the scoreboard. They lead it by a game-high 12 points. Back in the middle, both rucks share it. Spits out forward for Richmond as Graham tries to soccer it on. He does so to short. Hand pass in the direction of McIntosh. Just palms it down to Cochin. Chips it inside the forward 50. He's got it again. Lynch takes the mark out wide at right half forward. And now he's got Jekka for company. And Jekka stands on the mark, 5 in from the 50, 5 out from the boundary line.
The addition of Jaden Short into their midfields just added that something a little bit different. And it's not just that hard-edged ball that just put his head over the footy. Offers something a little bit different. In that case, it wasn't a massive kick forward, just a looping handball. Unselfish play from McIntosh put it to Cochin's advantage, and then just a nice little touch kick to Tom Lynch.
So Tom Lynch wide out at right half forward. He'll kick from just inside the 50. It's a spectacular drop pump. He's feeling it early, Tom Lynch. He's got 3 first quarter goals and threatening to tear the game apart. 21 minutes into the opening term, the Tigers 4-1, Hawthorn 1-1. Grandstand AFL, Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio.
Well, he's looking ominous at the moment, big Tommy Lynch. It's probably an easy call when you're 20 minutes into the first quarter and you've already kicked 3, but I think Cheika was manned up to him then. I think previously they may have had a change of matchup there, but can't lose hope, Cheika. That's just a good bit of ball use. It's hard when it comes out of the centre square.
It wasn't the best though, I don't reckon, Merv. I reckon if he took the body, then he probably it's in a different.
He sort of misread the flight.
Just misread the flight. He was eager to get up and try and get a hand on it, where he just needed to take that body and take Tom Lynch out with it.
It's 50 goals in the year for Tom Lynch. 3rd time he's done it in his career. So kicked 63 back in 2019 in their premiership year, first year at the Tigers. And 66 back in 2016 with the Suns.
He had that game against Collingwood where he had a dominant first half and threatened to tear the game apart. He is looming ominously here. We're going to have another ball up in the middle of the MCG. A lot of numbers around it. Now Curvis wins down the tap against McAvoy, but Mitchell for the Hawks to McGuinness. His kick is smothered. Shea Bolton can't get a clearing hand pass. Newcomb works it forward. O'Meara gathers, edge of the centre square, smothered by Gibcus. Ricochets out towards Nash and Prestia. They're over the top of the footy. Shields has a go at it, trying to knock it clear. Baker in defence, almost run down. He just gets the hand pass away to Broad, who chips it out. McIntosh at full stretch. Lunging forward awkwardly, takes the mark in the left back pocket for Richmond. Tigers by 18 points, 22 minutes gone opening term. As Campton McIntosh goes short. Jaden Short has it. Drives a long kick around the southern wing towards Tom Lynch. He works blank underneath. Takes another impressive contested mark.
That game you mentioned, Clinchy against the Pies in round 8, had 6 goals for the game, 5 in the first half. He puts it inside the forward 50 and hitting up. Miller takes the mark. At the other end of the ground, presenting the target, Ben Miller will have a set shot here, 25 out, 45-degree angle.
Well, they're just isolating really well, the Richmond forwards. On that case, it was Tom Lynch up the ground, Miller playing the deepest, and Rewalt sort of that link player in between. So they're not allowing the Hawthorn defenders to get over and play that intercept type football, which they like to play. So they're playing it really smart at the moment, the Tigers.
One of 3 Tigers to sign a new 2-year deal during the week. Ben Miller, he moves in, he pokes at his drop punt and pokes it straight through. Tigers on top here. And they've kicked 5 first quarter goals, 5-1-31. Hawthorn 1-1-7. 23 and a half travelled opening term. A win would secure a finals return for the Tigers.
It's sort of causing a little bit of havoc for the Hawthorn defenders because they're trying to get the matchups that they want. So ideally playing one of them playing the deepest, but because the Richmond tall forwards have all sort of changing up their play, it hasn't been just Tom Lynch playing deep. He's been up the ground from time to time. Rewalt's been with that sort of link player, and then on that occasion Miller being the deepest.
Well, I spoke about Jaden Short before with his addition into the midfield. It's his penetration on that kick that got that to the isolated Tom Lynch James Blank matchup, and then the Tom Lynch kick going forward to Miller was just perfect. You see that from a lot of big forwards. Their ability around the ground is as good as any.
It's the Tigers with 5-1 through the opening 24 minutes. Back in the middle of the ground. Cochin tries to get the clearance against Newcomb. It spills out to Edwards. Half pass to the dash of Dan Rioli off halfback. Tucks the footy under his arm. Takes the second bounce. Gets to right half forward. Great acceleration. Long kick towards Miller and Lynch. Lynch in from the side. Here's Morris Rioli Jr. Somehow jams it onto his boot, and Ward's able to rush it through the behinds. And the Tigers leading by 25 points, 25 minutes gone, opening term.
Kick out taken by Will Day, just bangs it long out towards halfback, spills to Newcomb. Newcomb takes on the tacklers, caught, umpire circles, says ball up.
How good's a run and dash off Dan Rioli at the moment? Just confidence and belief in what he's playing with this year's been fantastic to watch.
McAvoy wins the hit out down in front of O'Meara, who just soccers it off the deck 40 metres further afield. Spills down to Baker of the Tigers. Hand pass to Dan Rioli again. Links up with Prestia. Kicks out in front of Cumberland. Chasing the footy. Has to try and turn Checker inside out. Cumberland just knocks it back to Graham's advantage. He's tackled hard, taken to ground. And a ball up, centre half forward for Richmond. Is he an All-Australian this year, Murph, Dan Rioli?
I think so. I think he's been easily Richmond's top 2 or 3 players this year, but I think his run and dash off the half-back flank has been eye-catching and probably the best in the comp.
McAvoy wins down the tap to Newcombe. His kick is smothered. It spills out to Ward. Hand pass to Morrison. Nowhere to go as Cochin lays the tackle. Was he in Brett Delidio's All-Australian team?
He's in the 40.
Okay.
You haven't done your final team yet.
I'm not doing it.
I think it's next week.
Unfortunately, after Lids' Media Street, I don't think that's going to happen this week. Prestia snaps towards the goal mouth. The Hawks are well set, and Scrimshaw, the loose in defence, takes the mark in front of Tom Lynch.
He does claim he retired after his mid-season All-Australian team.
Done.
I think we can get him out of retirement.
Maybe Murph can have a go. We like to share the responsibilities.
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad shout.
And as Sellers likes to state, it's just one person's opinion. You can be wrong. The kick up to Sicily, who shoves Edwards out of the way and takes the mark. Over the top to McAvoy. Had the arms chopped by Rioli. And we'll take the free kick to centre wing on the members' side.
Tigers lead by 25 points. The win will secure their place in September. The kick down to Bruce, who goes for the fly. No mark. Dan Rioli left it behind. Bruce still fighting for it. Spills to Sicily and over the boundary line. Jess Webster's down there for us. Jess.
Interesting to see Jack Rewa on the bench, just having a chat to the umpires on the bench, whether it's on the field or on the bench. He's obviously seeking some clarification about something out there. I think we know that Jack loves a chat.
Is that out of character, Lids?
No.
Thanks, Jess. Jess Webster on the boundary from the throw-in. Nankervis down in front of Cochin. Cochin's hand pass back out of play.
Not short of a word, Jackie boy.
Stay in your lane, I reckon, Jack.
Yeah.
It's like a fast ball, though, isn't it? Just letting the umpire know.
Yeah.
Right, if you want to criticise the umpires, Murph, just put it on Twitter. That's how I do it.
Thrown back in. McAvoy knocks it down. Sicily's kick is partially smothered. Sonsi, his hand pass just bounced awkwardly for Cochin. Prestia regathers, back to Cochin at right half back. The two combined again. Prestia just fends off Ward. Gets the hand pass to Baker. Changed his mind at the last moment. Dropped the footy. Gave it back to Prestia. Kicks towards Pickett around the members' wing. Scrimshaw with a good spoil. Out towards Shea Bolton. His hand pass missed the intended target. And a chance for the Hawks through Checker. Caught by Pickett, and then Cumberland just got the ball away at the last moment. And Cumberland and Scrimshaw against the boundary. A little toe poke by Cumberland over the boundary line in front of our favourite boundary umpire, Ian Burrows, who's there. Best in the business, Corby. Works with the ABC Asia Pacific Network, and just don't see him as much in at South Bank.
I'm seeing light blue today as well from the boundary throw-in. McAvoy wins the tap, spills down to O'Meara off the Cochin hand pass, and another stoppage, another ball up on the wing. Huge day of footy. Sydney Collingwood to come. And for our audience in South Australia and the NT, of course, Port Adelaide later today. Big week with the focus on Ken Hinkley. They're in Melbourne to play Essendon in the late game, so we'll be getting that on ABC Radio.
And Jake Noel with some breaking news on the footy forum that Jordan Agoe will be out for Collingwood, so that means he and Taylor Adams out.
Mark Murphy, Brett Delidio both tipping the pies there, so Agoe coming out. We've still got the ball same area of the ground as Newcombe lays a big tackle on Nankervis. This will be the fourth ball up.
What's he out with there, Clinchy? Does it say?
No reason as to why he's out. Teams don't lob officially till an hour before the game. O'Meara, hand pass to McAvoy. Sent Morrison a challenge to put his head over the footy and try and spin out of traffic. He's locked up by Graham. This is probably the way Sam Mitchell would be happy for the Hawks to play. Contest after contest. Thrown up, McAvoy taps a boundary side. Cochin throws a boot at it. Gains a valuable 15 to 20 metres. It dribbles out in front of Lynch, but onto it well is Blank. Gets the hand pass inboard to Newcombe of the Hawks. Pulls his kick looking for Impey. It bounces off his chest. Too sharp the kick. Rioli tries to tap it out. That surely was a throw from Pickett as he gets it to Shea Bolton. Kicks towards Lynch, 2-on-1. He almost takes the mark in between Scrimshaw and Blank. Back to Checker. Almost run down by Morris Rioli Jr. Day trying to find a way out of defence. He goes back to Granger Barras, who jams it on the boot out to right half back, but it'll be coming back as McIntosh gathers for the Tigers.
He just arcs around onto his right boot. Morris Rioli Jr. all alone takes the mark. Left half forward.
You think that Granger Barras had his time again. He kicks out and does get it out of bounds and then have it called deliberate, so they've got a chance to slow him down and set up, given that he had nothing out there. But it was the work of the guy who's got the footy now, Morris Rioli Jr. come in and laid a big tackle and then caused them to be under the pump, the Hawks, and ended up with a resulting kick inside from McIntosh. Shot on goal.
He's been on land back in the territory this week. Maurice Rioli Jr. with a black armband on for Willie Rioli Sr. He kicks the goal and points to the heavens. And Richmond with a perfect start to this game. Playing to lock up a return to September. The Tigers put 6 past Hawthorn in the opening term. 6-2-38, Hawthorn 1-1-7, a 31-point lead for Richmond at quarter time, and the support for Morris as every one of his teammates get around him after the quarter time siren. 3 for Tom Lynch, a massive start for him, 1 for Shea Bolton, 1 for Ben Miller, and 1 to Maurice Rioli. Meanwhile for Hawthorn, Jacob Kaczynski kicked their only goal. The inside 50 tally Clinchy 21-6. Bear in mind Richmond had the first 10 and starting to put a bit of force on the scoreboard.
So the Tigers looking to get the majority of their work done early here against the Hawks. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling?
Hi.
The ABC Kids Listen app with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations, and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Camden McIntosh will have a look from about 55 out. It won't get there. Lynch in the goal square. Strong contested grab. Tom Lynch walks in. A 29-year-old kicks the first of the game. Dream start for Richmond.
Tossed up in the air, Nat Curtis won it down straight to Tom Mitchell of the Hawks. Out past a Ward, off balance. It's a barrel towards the left forward pocket. Awkward bounce for Tarrant. It clears him. Kaczynski onto it, end over end. Beautiful finish. Lynch on half forward. Kicks for Revolt down low. He gathers in the pocket. Trying to find a way around Jecker. Back onto his right. Dribbles into Cumberland. Gathers. Hand pass to Shea Bolton, who kicks the goal. And looking to really start on a positive note for the Tigers. Lynch comes in, converts from just outside the goal square.
So Tom Lynch wide out and right half forward. He'll kick from just inside the 50. It's a spectacular drop pump. He's feeling it early, Tom Lynch. He's got 3 first quarter goals and threatening to tear the game apart. Ben Miller, he moves in, he pokes at his drop punt and pokes it straight through. Tigers on top here. He's been on land back in the territory this week. Maurice Rioli Jr. with a black armband on for Willie Rioli Sr. He kicks the goal and points to the heavens.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Sunday afternoon footy from the MCG, and it's the Tigers who lead by 31 points at the first break. 6-2-38 to the Hawks, 1-1-7. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary, your experts. Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy.
Well, it was a powerful start, wasn't it, from the Tigers, Murph, there. They had the first 10 inside 50s to zip. The Hawks, they go down there once, kick a goal, which is good for them, but that was almost the last time we saw them down there for another long period. They just looked so strong in front of the footy, but also set up so well behind the footy. They haven't looked like they've just been able to get their structure right. I'm not sure whether that Finn McGuinness, Shea Bolton matchup is working because he's not playing in the midfield. He's then shooting forward, which is then throwing a halfback flanker that has to go and play somewhere else. So whether that's causing the chaos and them to be out of whack a little bit. Also, forward of the footy, you're relying on playing on that structure, like you said, with the big boys. Someone needs to come off to help to try and spoil. You've got one guy that's just locking down, therefore you can't release. So that might be something they need to look at. But he started all right, Finn McGuinness. What's Shea Bolton had?
He's had 5 and kicked the goal, though.
So kicked the goal. So you take that. My old coach used to say the goal's worth 5 touches, so that's 10. Finn McGuinness, he's had the 3. He started really well. But
they just had a lot of in-out-in players, haven't they,
yeah,
Richmond? So they're just set up really well behind the ball. So they're getting the ball, obviously, inside 50 and then just having great numbers and great support behind the ball. And their pressure's been so good up front as well. So it just hasn't allowed Hawthorn to be able to work the ball out either by hand or hitting those uncontested marks. So they're just being forced to dump the ball long and wide, and that's just setting up perfectly for Richmond and they're getting those repeat inside 50s. But you're not going to win too many games or get anywhere near it when you've had 21-6 inside 50s in the first quarter.
Hard.
So it's going to make it pretty difficult, and it all goes to the Hawthorn style of play in terms of it's got to get back to win the ball at the contest from the clearances and giving their forwards an opportunity, because they're just probably relying on too few at the moment. And I suppose there's been some guys who haven't had disposal yet, and Impey and Bruce. I think Bruce is playing up forward, so it's probably a bit harder for him. But Tommy Mitchell, probably one of their main ball users, only had the 3 disposals.
One of them was a little rush one, just out of bounds.
As well, so they need some of their senior players to get their hands dirty, get the ball forward and give their forwards a bit of an opportunity. So otherwise it's going to be a long afternoon.
Is there anything they can do to try and restrict Tom Lynch? I mean, he's taken 3 contested marks, 3 goals for the opening term. Corby may mention that 5 goals he kicked against Collingwood in a half. So, I mean, they're trying to get that loose back to provide some support, but it's Richmond's ball movement that looms as the biggest issue.
Yeah, when you've got guys like Murph's favourite player in Dan Rioli taking 2 or 3 bounces and getting, you just haven't got time. Benny McAvoy hasn't got time to get back and to help. I feel like they're obviously a ruckman short. Big Ned Reeves not being able to be out there to give Big Boy the chop out to allow him to get back to help and then have him take some more hit outs. But Scrimshaw's the one who plays that third tall really well, but even he's probably a little bit undersized in terms of going up against Tom Lynch, who's, best part of 6'6", 6'7".
The best way to stop it is just to not allow the ball to get in there, basically. So it's all about clearances and getting the ball forward from Hawthorn's point of view, because if you try and bring a winger back to sit in front of those tall guys, then you open yourself up on the wings, and Richmond will use that every day of the week. So it's just all about Hawthorn getting their hands dirty around the ball and trying to get the ball forward and set up the defence from there.
So the Hawks starting with O'Meara, Newcombe and Tom Mitchell in the centre square. As we're set to get the second quarter underway, the Tigers leading by 31 points. As Toby Nankervis sets himself up against McAvoy. Nankervis tries to take it out of the ruck. Newcombe lays the tackle. No easy feat to try and bring down Big Nank, but he does so successfully. The umpire will throw it up just to the outer of the circles. Tossed in the air. Once more McAvoy and Nankervis. McAvoy slipped over. Nankervis wins down the tap. Newcombe can't get a clearance. Dropped it onto his boot. Only as far as Cochin. Great smother by Mitchell. Pinballs out to Broad. Gets the hand pass to Nankervis. Bumps into Mitchell. Impey tries to pick up the loose footy. Grabbed by the back of the jumper by Short. It comes to Camden McIntosh, and he's locked up by 3 Hawthorn players. Just drifting to the edge of the centre square on the members' wing.
Tigers by 31 points from the ball up, socket away by McAvoy, down to Sicily, kicks to half forward, and strong mark for Vlosten. We'll test out those ribs as Bruce goes crashing into him in the marking contest. Can't imagine Charlie Dixon's knee that into your ribs, that'll go down too well. And must have been an uncomfortable week for Vlosten, who kicks to McIntosh in a one-on-one, and Morrison knocks it out of play.
He's genuinely tough though, Nick Vlosten, and never been afraid to stand under those high balls, go back with the flight. He's pretty tough.
Some sore ribs into the game this afternoon as Nankervis reaching over the top down to O'Meara, tackled by Cochin immediately. Ball spills out to Prestia, kicks for Rewalt, got a hand on it. Spills down to Scrimshaw though, who goes bouncing off the back flank for the Hawks.
Links up with Sicily, who now has his turn, taking a bounce through the middle of the MCG. Kicks Hawthorn into attack, looking for Gunston down low. Can't pick up the half volley. Bruce got the hand pass to Gunston, little clever kick to Dylan Moore, whose kick is across the face. And Tarrant's able to spoil out a play with Kajitsky right there alongside him.
I'm not sure who it was that got a little hand on him there, but just forced the errant kick. He looked like he was having a shot at goal, but just a little push on the side of the hips forced the kick to be a bit askew.
I think that might have been Dan Rioli. Thrown back into play. Nankervis wins down the tap in the defensive 50 and then is over the footy. Hand pass almost picked off by Impey. And now Nank puts his big body over the top, and there's no getting the footy out from under there. Richmond by 31 points. Hawks deep in attack. 2 minutes gone, second term.
It was a goal each to start the game, so 5 in a row for Richmond. Up it goes. Both rucks miss it. Bounces off McAvoy on the way down. Spills to Vlosten. Kicks a torp out of the defensive 50. Rioli Jr. flying for it. No mark. Falls down to Morrison. Bangs a torp back in the other direction for Hawthorn. Whacks through for a rush behind as McIntosh gets across to cover. Want to score for Hawthorn, or did it clip the behind post? I feel like we're going to the arc. There will be a collective groan, I'm sure, which is mandatory.
Umpire's call is no score. Can you please check which side of the post it went?
It feels like no matter how contentious the decision to go to the arc is, it's always met with the collective groan from the entire...
Because everyone knows they're going to sit around for a minute.
What was that one last night that was that big behind that how are we supposed to tell with the camera angles that we had last night to be able to know? Anyway.
What's the computer technology where you need to enhance the size of the post to try and work out, is it CGI sort of style?
I don't mind the Schnicko being involved.
Here we go.
There is insufficient evidence to confirm if the ball hits the behind post or not. Decision on the scoreboard.
I feel like we get a lot of those. A lot of the insufficient evidence trying to get they're trying to make a decision with the 2D pitches, obviously, of the 3D world. So umpire's call stands.
Now we wait for all the players to come back down and. No, it's out of bounds.
Yeah, the umpire's
punched. It was punched.
The boundary umpire just had a mare.
Oh my god!
So the boundary umpire's just ruled out on the full, not realising that it was punched through. So
that wasn't your boy Clinchy, was it?
No. So it's a boundary throwing after all that deep forward for Hawthorn.
And my man's on the other side. Thrown back in. Nankervis wins down the tap to the front. Moore's after it. Hard against the boundary. Trying to keep it alive. Gibcus over the top. Short with a hand pass to McIntosh. Richmond out of defence to half-back. Lynch is outnumbered as the Hawks gather through. Scrimshaw kicks for Sicily. Flying in from the side. The defender with a shot on goal.
Well, it looks like he's been playing a lot more attacking, James Sicily. We saw him dashing through the middle of the ground, delivering it inside forward 50, and now marking this one good 10 metres inside the 50 mark. He's a beautiful kicker, the footy, James Sicily, but that's without going in front of the sticks. So we'll wait and see on this one.
Hasn't kicked a goal this season. One of 4 Hawks who have played every game in season 2022. James Sicily comes in, leans back on it, but it's a beautiful kick and might be just what the Hawks needed to spark them into life. Their second goal of the match in the first of the second quarter comes at the 5-minute mark. They're 2-1-13, trailing the Tigers 6-2-38 after Richmond put on 5 consecutive goals at the back edge of the opening quarter.
Well, it's a good start by Hawthorn. They need to start well and get the ball forward. They've had a few repeat entries, which has been really good, and just smart ball use there from Scrimshaw, who just on the left foot, all left footers are usually beautiful kicks, and there was no exception there. And James Sicily's already had the 12 disposals, been fantastic already off the half-back line, and as you said, Lid's just been so aggressive, hasn't he, with ball in hand, and also his run and his preparedness to work hard up the ground. There you find himself marking the ball probably 40-45 out. Currently set up on Jaden Short, so
that's how you going, mate. I'll see you at the end.
Exactly.
Those 2 blokes.
3 behinds previously for the year, so now his first goal, as outlined, a 25-point lead for Richmond. Back in the middle, Bolton back on the ground, trying to paddle it to his own advantage. The Hawks win it back. Slick handball comes through from Hardwick away to Moore, and then he gives it to McAvoy. And the big man kicks out to the wing, finds Shields, who collects and goes. Hand pass away to Moore. Clever kick, just pulls it back to O'Meara, who marks at centre half forward for Hawthorn. He's just going to put it out in front of Bruce, and he's up strong and Markey. 30 metres out, left half forward for Hawthorn. He's only 5 in from the boundary line.
Well, some good hands off the half-back line there by the Hawks, and then some smart ball use by some of their better players, and O'Meara's work rate from the centre square to get back and support, and then to get hard forward and finds himself delivering inside 50 there to Luke Bruce, and he's easily their best shot at goal, so we'll put this one down, Lids.
Oh, cheapers.
So Luke Bruce moves in, misses.
Moss
out to the left. Mark Murphy, the commentator's curse. Luke Bruce just a behind to show for this forward 50 entry. It's the Tigers by 4 goals, 6-2 to 2-2, 7 minutes into the second term.
38-18 for the season for Luke Bruce in your defence, Murph, so he has been pretty good in front of the big sticks. Floston brings the Tigers back into play, long towards Nankervis and Rewalt. It comes down to the front where O'Meara's got his head over the footy, trying to cannon into McIntosh. It spills out, a chance for Shields. He's got the arm pin, not sure how he released that. And in the end, the non-officiating umpire said, not by a hand pass. And will reward the tackler, which was Toby Nankervis. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Will Day's just getting some treatment on the Hawks bench. A rolled ankle, his left foot. He's just putting the boot back on now, so it looks like he's okay and he'll get back out there.
Big Nank, the contest kick down the wing. A couple of Hawks up, but in the end it's Scrimshaw who's going to take the mark. McAvoy floating through in front. Perfect kick. It's like a heat-guided missile onto the chest of Liam Shields, who takes the mark. Hand pass away to McGuinness. McGuinness kicks inside the forward 50. Impey the target, but in the box seat, Marlon Pickett takes the intercept mark. Half back for Richmond, trying to appeal to the umpire that Impey shifted on the mark. The umpire wasn't buying what he sold, so just chips short to Baker. Turnover though, the Hawks win it back. Hand pass away to Bruce, has a chance to make up for his earlier miss. He misses again. Near side.
Sorry, Hawthorn fans, for mozzing Luke Bruce.
6-2 to 2-3, 8 minutes into the second term. Richmond by 23.
Kipkis brings the Tigers back into play to Nick Vlauston, who takes the mark in the left back pocket. He can go short to Robbie Tarrant. It's a half volley. Shields lays the tackle and escorts him over the boundary line and then drags him down, not giving an inch.
So it's not that easy to hit little 15-metre kicks, Murph.
Oh, it should be.
The best players just make it look so automatic, don't they? 8 minutes into the second term. Tigers still hold a 23-point advantage, but the Hawks have had a few scoring opportunities to start this second quarter. Nankervis tries to swat it down. Prestia could have been tackled in non-possession by Morrison. Spills out. Swansea kicks up towards Lynch. He's got two to compete against. In from the side, Day, but Lynch will get a free kick for a hold. So they're going to have to try and work on their communication there a bit, the Hawks, given they had the outnumber. Tom Lynch with 3 goals. Veers out to the right, sends it inside 50 towards Cumberland. Nash flies in the pack, spoils it down to the front. Awkward bouncing ball for Moore. He brushes the tackle of Bolton. Hand pass to Newcomb. Then out to Day at right half back and link up with Sicily.
Sicily dishes a hand pass over the head of Miller to Mitchell. Hooks a kick down the wing but turns it over. Gibcus takes the intercept mark. It's Mitchell's first kick of the day after 3 handballs in the opening quarter. Gibcus short to Jaden Short, and then kicks down to Miller, who's up and marking into the bank of Sicily. Pinch hitting in the ruck today with that shin guard on his right leg. He kicks long inside the forward 50. Granger Barras knocks it down straight into the partner of Edwards, who jams it on the boot and kicks a goal. As he's off balance, falling to the ground, there was a whistle and a free kick. And as the ball sailed between the big sticks, the umpire blew advantage, and Richmond have their first goal of the second term. They move to 7-2-44, and it's the 300 game of Shane Edwards with his first of the day. Hawthorn 2-3-15. The Tigers by 29 points, 10 played second term.
Well, it was probably inexperience, you'd say, from Granger Barras and his time again. Can't allow those balls to get over the back. Maybe even go for the mark, back yourself in. That's what you'd like to see for him in the future, but Shane Edwards, he's been doing that since the day he got to Richmond. Just being in the right place, right time, forward craft at its best. And a class finish as well, under pressure. Nice snap, nice finish. All their good work, Hawthorn. Richmond go back the other way and get a goal.
Back to a 29-point advantage the Tigers' way. In the middle of the ground, Miller and Kajitsky. Miller tries to double palm it down, but straight to Ward of the Hawks. Hand pass to Tom Mitchell. Kicks a high ball inside 50. Impey in front, can't hang on to the mark. And front and centre, Broad gathers. Hand pass to Vlauston. Links up with Short. He looks for an outlet. Spots Cochin. Out right half back. He can play on and give the hand pass back to Short, who kept running. Hand pass missed down Rioli. Tom Mitchell tries to knock it back to the support of Granger Barras. 1-2 with Sicily. He missed Granger Barras, and Hardwick cleans it up with a short kick to Nash on the southern wing.
Hand pass away to Mitchell, and the Brownlow medalist will kick down to half forward. Kazitsky, a one-on-one with Vlauston, and Kazitsky takes the mark. Nice work, almost right on the 50-metre arc, out wide at half forward. He kicks to a one-on-one. A couple of bodies hit the deck. Gumpson along with Tarrant. Free kick going against the forward. And Tarrant will get it. Back pocket for Richmond.
Yeah, it was good ball movement, but just the inside 50 kick there to finish. Just Jack Gunston needs it out in front into space, not on his head.
Tarrant across the goal face to Bolter. Goes on a run from half-back, kicks down the wing. Rewalt Clever just taps it down to Morris Rioli Jr. He's bowled over by Day, and the ball ends up out of play.
Especially that match-up with Robbie Tarrant on Jack Gunston. He's certainly got the leg speed to keep up with him, but if it's a one-on-one sort of, on your head, it's hard for Jack. He needs it out in space and needs to sort of work into that area.
The voice of Mark Murphy alongside Brett Delidio, Matt Clinch, Corbin Minimas and Jess Webster with you on a Sunday afternoon. Newcomb tries to break the tackle, eventually releases a footy. Cochin for the Tigers to Graham to Miller. Hand pass missed short, he regathers, links up with Dan Rioli. Missed Swansea. and it's picked up by Hardwick of the Hawks. Underground hand pass around short. That worked to Morrison. Hand pass to Tom Mitchell. Kicks wide out. And Dylan Moore takes the mark at left half forward. Shields pushes inside 50. He pokes the kick in that direction. And he marks in the left forward pocket just inside 50.
Good intercept from Blake Hardwick coming off half back. They looked like they were away. Just couldn't quite finish the Tigers. Trying to get it over to Dan Rioli and dashing off half back, but good sharp hands. Went the under. Well, I don't like saying underground because it didn't go underground, but he went along the ground handball. Sharp hands, Harry Morrison, Tom Mitchell, then Liam Shields on his distance, but usually a very good set shot for goal.
The 31-year-old in his 14th season from right on 50, veers out to the right. That's a great kick. Got full purchase on it, and the Hawthorn players come from everywhere to celebrate. As part of the natural progression, his spot in the side has been challenged throughout the season, featuring in 13 games in 2022. Been able to kick his 4th goal of the season, and a real heart and soul player for the Hawks. An important goal to close the margin back to 23 points Richmond's way. They're 7-2-44 to the Hawks 3-3-21. 14 gone second term.
Good call, Clinch. He is a real heart and soul player. He's been a very good player for a long time, Liam Shields. So good to see him back out there playing in the AFL side, and good to see a commentator's Moz didn't get the better of him too, Lids.
I didn't Moz him. I left the door open to say he's usually a very good set shot, but might be just on his distance. So you got to just read the play a little bit.
Yep, and he gave himself a very good pat in the back too when he put it through.
Fair enough, I would have thought.
31-1 last week for him in the VFL, so earns his place back in the team. The only change for Hawthorn, from the side that beat the Suns down in Launceston last Saturday, in fact. Liam Shields back in the team, and a goal here in the first half. Back in the middle of the ground, it comes Hawthorn's way again. Nash to Newcomb, hand pass away to Ward, kicks to centre half forward. Gunston hits up, spills down though to Baker, hand pass to Gibcus, shares it with Dan Rioli, who kicks out wide, and Sonsi takes the mark. For Richmond, bounces straight back up, kicks off his left peg down to half forward for the Tigers. Checker in the box seat, can't complete the mark. Rewalt right there with him, knocks it out to Prestia, who's under the pump, shakes the tackle, then kicks smothered by Hardwick. Prestia picks it up a second time, he's tackled again. Front edge of the centre square, the Tigers by 23 points, 15 minutes into the second term.
They're led by 31 at quarter time, 2-1 Hawthorn's way in this second term. From the throw up, Prestia with a high kick. Underneath it, Cochin and Sicily. They're shoved out of it. Kajitsky in defence. Hand pass to Hardwick. Drives the kick into the middle of the ground. Vlosten read at best. He takes the mark and plays on immediately. Hand pass to Short. Looking for options inside 50 with that lethal right boot. Goes for home and it bounces offline to the left. I think he was trying to put it into the favour of Tom Lynch. It cleared him and missed to the left-hand side. A 24-point lead Richmond's way. 15 gone second term.
Hardwick into Morrison, kick smothered by Morris Rioli Jr. Spits away towards the half-forward flank. Morrison goes back, gets it again for Hawthorn. Hand pass to Blank. Hand pass out wide to Ward. His hand pass knocked down by Dan Rioli. Cut it out and the ball spills out of play, so a throw in 70 out for the Richmond goal. The two Riolis with a few little 1%ers. Smother and then breaking up the hand pass chain. Richmond by 24, 7-3 to 3-3 for the boundary throw-in. Miller just protecting the drop zone, but falls down to Mitchell. His hand pass picked off. The opposite number 3, Prestia. Hand pass to half forward to Rioli Jr. Gives it to Sonsi. Great kick into the pocket, and Cumberland drifting in front of Tom Lynch takes the mark.
There's a nice little lowering of the eyes there. Could have been excused for just banging out long to the hot spot, but saw Cumberland there and worked into the space. It was a nice little chip up.
Tyler Sonsi, highly rated junior before the draft, tipping he could go on 1 to 10, somewhere in there. Slipped out to around the 30s, I reckon.
Yeah,
28. Yeah, so highly skilled player and really starting to show Richmond what he's all about.
Tough kick for Cumberland. He's a left footer. Left peg against the fence as he moves in from 45 metres out. No problem for him. Superb finish. Cumberland puts it through and Richmond are again back out by 5 goals. 8-3-51, Hawthorn 3-3-21, 17 and a half played in the second term. So that's the trick, Murph, just talking down and let him over-deliver.
Yeah, he's a real pure striker of the footy, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's just so well put together, Noah Cumberland. He's fast becoming one of the more enjoyable players to watch. given he kicks goals, but he's quick and he's exciting. But that's only their 5th inside 50 for the quarter, the Tigers. And the Hawks have had 10 themselves, but they're just going forward and being able to kick scores. So it's they're doing their best, the Hawks, to stay involved in this game, but the Tigers just doing enough.
A lot of people in Victoria whinge about sort of the academies and the amount of money putting to the Northern States. He's a Queenslander out of Brisbane's academy. Noah Cumberland, the Ticks bid on him, and look what he can do.
That's it.
It's a great bid.
Had the footy in his hands as the siren sounded for the draw, but since then, hasn't he made a statement in front of goal? Cochin tries to break out with the clearance. He's locked up and the umpire will throw it up. McAvoy laying the tackle. Thrown in the air, Nankervis and McAvoy. Nankervis wins it down to Cochin. He squeezes the kick out to the southern wing where the foot races on. McIntosh lumbers after it, Nash after him. McIntosh should get there first. He picks it up and hand passes back to Dan Rioli. His kick is smothered by Nash as he turned to try and block it. Ricocheted off his shoulder blade and goes out of play in front of plenty of Hawthorn and Richmond fans. And the great part of our game, all sitting side by side.
Cumberland on the phone on the bench. Quite a long chat. Is it always the senior coach on the other end of the phone? Or?
No? More often than not the assistants.
Right. Boundary throw-in. Comes down to Ben McAvoy. Hand pass away to Mitchell. He goes back to Sicily for the Hawks, who can just kick a long drop punt down to half forward and intercepted by Bolter. Takes the mark for Richmond. Pokes the pass to the top of the defensive goal square for Gibkers. Sweeping hand pass missed Broad. Has to go back and collect. The defender chips it further afield to Tarrant. Richmond by 30 points, approaching time on in the second. Hands it back to Broad, hand pass away to Prestia, back to Broad. Kicks hurriedly down the wing, Miller in a wrestle. Jacker gets across, got hands on it. Spills to Granger Barras, another smother from Rioli Jr. Ricochets back inboard to McGuinness. Hand pass to Jacker for the Hawks, to Day, and he goes all the way back by hand to Granger Barras and now to Sicily.
Tried to put the block on Morris Rioli Jr., but it was a great second, third chase. And then the kick up towards Sarong, couldn't complete the mark. Now Shea Bolton's over the top of him. And the umpire lets it go for a moment. Bolton dragged it back in, jams it onto his boot. Rolls out towards the boundary line. McGuinness picks it up, kicks towards Impey. Game 150. Marks on his chest. Looks up towards the top of the 50. Great vision. Spots Nash free. He marks on the edge of the centre square. Kajitsky offers the lead. He kicks it over the top of his head. Looking towards Sarong. Bolter trying to get a fist onto it, and Pickett's a chance to clear it for the Tigers. Looks out towards half-back. Cochin the target. Nash got there late to spoil it down. Richmond have the numbers through McIntosh. Great tackle by Nash, who locks the footy to his chest and forces a stoppage when the Tigers look to be out. Richmond by 30 points, 20 minutes gone, second term.
How good's the pressure from Morris Rioli Jr.?
Yeah, crowd lights up too.
The crowd love him.
Nankervis leaps up, hooks it down behind to Cochin, squeezes the kick out, but Sicily scoops it in one-handed, 70 out, kicks into the pocket. Kazitsky's out there, one bounce out of play. Seen out by Gibcus. He's eye-catching, isn't he, Morris Rioli Jr. in his 15th game?
Yeah,
teenager.
It's 3-4 efforts, isn't it? Well, it just creates a bit of pressure, and the disposals always rush because of it.
To the boundary throw-in, McAvoy grabs it out of the ruck, tackled, lost it, spills to Baker, hand pass away to Graham, slick hands to Prestia, works it out further wide to Short against the boundary line southern side, kicks down the wing, few Hawthorn jumpers back, Lynch leaps up, knocks it down to Rewalt, sweeping hand pass forward, Jecker had it, a little fumble, put himself under the pump, Lynch tries to soccer it, misses it. There's a fresh air shot, Granger Barras jumps on top of it, he's in strife, holding the ball against Denver. He was just jumping on top of it. Two Richmond players sitting over the top, and it'll be Rioli Jr. who will get the free kick.
Ooh. He wanted the 50 for trying to get the stand rule against Granger Barras, and then dances around him, pokes it to Cochin, not 15. Call to play on, kicks towards the top of the goal square. Lynch is there again. He takes the mark in front. He thinks he's inside the goal square. The umpire mightn't agree with that.
Similar to the one of his first ones, just outside. But we just spoke about Morris Rioli Jr. and his ability to put pressure on Denver Granger Barras. As soon as you drag that ball back in underneath, you're going to be in trouble if you can't knock it out.
I thought he worked the man of the mark too to his advantage. I thought it was going to be a 50.
And James Blank, welcome to the AFL. Try playing on one of the most powerful forwards in the game. And Tom Lynch from point blank range for his fourth. Got it. Tigers Army in the punt road end, tell the rest. Tom Lynch started the round in 8th position in the Coleman medal. He was on 47 goals. All of a sudden he's up to 51. He's still a fair way behind Charlie Kerner on 63, but there's the chance for Tom Lynch to have a big afternoon. 4 before half-time. The Tigers by 36 points, 9-3-57 to Hawthorn 3-3-21.
Well, those are little electric forwards who create all that pressure and just harass. They're team lifters, aren't they? And there's no doubt all these other forwards and his teammates just love playing with him because he just forces errors. And then with ball in hand too, I thought he was going to take another bounce there and have a shot at goal. It would have been beautiful to watch, but unselfish, gave it off to Cochin, and then Cochin just the hack forward kick, and Tom Lynch just too big and too strong.
I love little blokes with speed that know they've got speed.
Yep.
No one's going to catch me.
Do you encourage teammates like that to take the game on?
Absolutely, you do.
New game high. Richmond by 36 points. Then Curvis down to Prestia. Quick kick forward to Graham. Hand pass back to Prestia. Links up with Short. Looks inside 50 again. Looks for Lynch. Takes the mark out wide in front of Blank. Plays on. Pokes it into the pocket. It's coming towards Rioli Jr. So bounces in front of him. Unkind bounce, and Newcomb up with it for the Hawks. Hand pass away to Ward. Off the back flank, Rioli Jr.'s after him again. Lays the tackle. Ball comes out. Says play on. Ward hurried kick forward. Out on the full. And Richmond will get it back and they'll lock it in the front half. And another pressure play from Morris Rioli Jr. as Baker goes across the ground off Loston.
The stat sheet says he's had 2 tackles, Morris Rioli Jr., but we need to find pressure acts because he would be through the roof on that stat. Short out to McIntosh, who takes the mark just inside the boundary under the Shane Warne stand. 24 minutes gone, second term. Tigers by 36 points. McIntosh puts it towards Nankervis and Lynch. And Tom Lynch at the very back of the pack is somehow able to claim the mark.
How many behind is he, Clinchy? Goals?
Plenty, but there's a chance to close that gap.
Still got a round to play. We're watching Jeremy Cameron do it for the Giants back in 2019, I reckon. Kick 10 or something in the last game of the year against the Gold Coast. Certainly can do it, but how well he's clunking it at the moment. Richmond
fans would be rubbing their hands together. This is a player who can shape finals. His kick is into the pocket, looking for Jack Revolt. That's out on the full. That's me done. I thought he was going to load up from 50.
Well, he kicked one from this side of the ground, going the other way. I thought he'd back himself, but tough spot on the ground to kick him from out there.
Mitchell marks the kick out, now goes long in the McAvoy direction. He's in the pack. It's stumped down from the back, down to Bruce to the Hawks. Hurried kick forward. There's no one there. Close to the southern boundary line. Baker will be first one back for Richmond. Then steps around Bruce, who chased his own foot. He's dumped in a follow-up tackle. Big, heavy tackle and a free kick, and it's young Sarong.
Great tackle, wasn't it? Just didn't buy any of the candy that Baker was trying to sell.
It's his second game. Jai Sarong, of course, the younger brother of Caleb over at Fremantle. He kicks inside the forward 50 for Hawthorn. Off hands, it spills to Short, kicks smothered, gets a second go at it, pokes the pass out to Vloston. Still at half back, hand pass away to Graham, kicks back down the wing. Nankervis reaching for it one-handed, unsuccessful, bounces into the path of Rewalt. He's got it between wing and half forward, kicks to Lynch, one out in the cage. Blank doing his best, there's a free for a hold, it's going to Hawthorn, and Blank will take it. He kicks to a one-on-one at half-back, looking for Morrison.
In his 8th game of footy, that's a rare win. He works it to Morrison, who now kicks up towards McAvoy. He spoils it down against Miller. Miller lays the tackle. The ball spilled clear. No whistle as Newcomb gathers. Kicks out towards O'Meara, who running at full pelt takes the mark just at the edge of 50, where it meets the boundary line. He wants to poke it over the top. Beautiful pass, and Luke Bruce does the rest.
We just go back to that 1v1 contest down there with Blank and Lynch, who Blank looked like he was just all over the shop in terms of the ball coming in, but just fought his way to...
Strong, wasn't it?
Yeah, just fight to get the ball to ground and won a free kick, and Bruce has a shot and goal.
Out to the right, he's not going to go for goal. He puts it towards the teeth of goal. Big fly from Sarong. And off hands it goes through for a minor score. 35 points, Richmond's lead at the 27-minute mark of the second term.
There's only 17 picks in the mid-season draft. 9 of them have played, so pretty good conversion rate. James Blank, one of them, picked up mid-year for the Hawks. As Baker goes out to half-back to Pickett, takes the mark for Richmond. Sweeping hand pass into the path of Miller. Fumbles, put himself under the pump. Lending a hand now is McAvoy. Still Richmond onto it. Pickett clean. Collects, hand pass to Edwards. Tells a few dummies, can't shake Morrison. Dangerous kick back into the middle of the ground. Waiting for it, Sarong. McIntosh knocks it down. Richmond win it back. Sonzi. Hand pass away to Dan Rioli. Ugly kick out wide out the southern wing. Ward's onto it for Hawthorn. Hand pass to the logo for Impey. Defend off to Baker. His kick smothered. McIntosh does well. Ball spits out to Shields. Hand pass back to Ward. He gets another goal at it. Oh, Koschitzky just had the body contact with Tarrant. He was the only one who stuck his hands up. And Kaczynski takes a relatively easy mark, 40 out left half forward.
Well, Bolter had his time again. I think he comes over the top and absolutely kills that ball. He just pulled up on it thinking that it was just going to get over the top, but just held up. Well read by Kaczynski.
It's a good one-on-one win, wasn't it?
It was strong. Just a little nudge on the back, but Josh Ward, smart player, you can tell that, because he didn't try to take on Morris Rioli Jr. He said, no, I'm handballing this.
Jacob Kaczynski moves in. Set shot from 45 metres out. It's left again. There's 3 out to the left in this quarter. 29 minutes into the second term. 9-3 to 3-5. It's Richmond by 34 points. Ticking towards half-time.
2 goals for the Hawks in this second quarter. Into Dan Rioli, who takes the mark in the left back pocket. Just back behind his mark before being called to play on. Kicks up the members' wing. Cumberland sets himself. Hardwick nudged him underneath. A clear Day as well. McGuinness's quick hand pass to Day, to Granger Barras, to Mitchell in traffic. Jams it on the left boot. Inside 50. Bruce in front. Like all good forward should be. He takes the mark on his chest in front of Robbie Tarrant.
How's this one going to go, Murph?
He's normally a very good kick, Brett.
He set it up nicely. He's certainly not wasting any time. Shot clock was still at 20 when he decided to start his approach.
That's how we do it.
He's in rhythm. Luke Bruce comes in and steers it through. His first goal of the afternoon, and the Hawks fourth. They're 4-5-29 to the Tigers 9-3-57. So 3 goals for the Hawks in this second quarter to the Tigers 3-1.
Well, they deserve that because they've had 16 inside 50s to the Richmond's 9. So they're getting the ball in there. They're just going to be a bit more polished once they get in there. But that's not a hat kick forward, but a rush kick forward. And as you said, Clinchy, all good forwards do play in front. And Luke Bruce is certainly one of those very, very good small forwards. So if he can just keep on finding his way on the end of it, just never know. But it's an important goal for Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Because they've had a lot of inside 50s and they've done a lot of really good things so far this second quarter.
Mitch Lewis has been put away for the year, so he's 2 clear in the goal kicking. It'll be the 4th time in his career he'll win Hawthorn's goal tally in a single season, so up to 39 for the year. 28 points, Richmond's lead after the Bruce goal, and that'll do us. Half-time at the G. Richmond doing plenty of work early, and there's a bit of push and shove. Denver Granger Barras ripping at the jumper of Tom Lynch. Very high draft pick. Granger Barras, top 10 from a year ago, and not too happy with Lynch, who's had a big day out so far. He kicked 3 goals in the first quarter and has 4 to half-time. Now, the rest of the goal kickers for Richmond, 1 each for Edwards, Bolton, Cumberland, Miller and Morris Rioli. While for Hawthorn, singles down the page, Sicily, Bruce, Kaczynski and Shields. All they need to do, Richmond, is win, and they'll lock up a return to September after missing last year and a chance just to draw an extended line on this dynasty. Obviously, the most recent successful team in the competition with having won 3 of the last 5 premierships. Richmond by 28 points at half-time, having led by 31 at quarter-time.
Thoughts of Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy with you on ABC Sport.
Well, both sides don't really rely upon the clearances, and it probably wasn't the case then either, because Richmond were ahead 9-7 in the clearances. But the inside 50s that I just made mention about, Hawthorn were just setting up a lot better from getting their balls inside 50 and getting a few of those repeat entries. But they started to work their way into the game. Tom Mitchell only had the 3 disposals at quarter time. He had 8 in that second quarter. So starting to get his hands dirty around the contest and getting the ball forward. He was that one who got the ball forward there to Luke Bruce and finished off with that goal, the back point of that second quarter. So they're doing their pressure was a lot better in that second quarter, wasn't it, Lids?
Yeah, it certainly was. They were thereabouts. They weren't completely outplayed like they were in that first quarter. They certainly upped their effort in and around the contest. It's probably more so just their lack of polish on the outside. You look at their kicking efficiency, just at 51% so far to half-time. And one of their best ball users, I think, by a foot, James Sicily. He's kicking it at 38% from his 13 kicks. Like, that's for a guy who's playing off half-back mostly, and he's got majority of his possessions are uncontested. He's probably just been forced to kick a lot longer under more pressure, like that Morris Rioli Jr. pressure that we're talking about. It's not always just being tackled, but it can be perceived as well, which forces you just to kick a little bit too long, a little bit too short, ineffective kicks. So the Tigers for mine are just they're setting up the game so well in terms of just the way they're defending, the in-out ins that you're talking about, Murph. It goes inside 50, comes back out and goes straight back in again. Hawthorn had their chances. They missed. How many shots did you say? Like 3 to the left-hand side there, Corby, I reckon, in that quarter. They got their looks, but they just weren't able to capitalise. And, they go in. How many points down did you say, Clinchy? 28 points. It feels like Richmond probably dominated the game a little bit more than that, but they're doing enough to hang in there, but they want to come out with a bang in the third quarter.
Richmond's entries are just so much better as well. Like, I know Tom, they're able
to isolate so much better.
Yeah, they've obviously got better cattle up forward, but they're isolating much better. It's just not allowing the Hawthorn intercept players like a Sicily to come off and make an impact in the air or by ground. So Tom Lynch, I think majority of that second quarter is playing a lot deeper, wasn't he? Because he was just taking everything that the ball was coming in. So they're doing a really good job of just isolating one another, and they're just looking really dangerous at the moment, the Tigers.
The thoughts of Mark Murphy alongside Brett Delidio, Matt Clinch and Corbin Minimas. Call the action with Jess Webb set down on the boundary. Halftime at the MCG. The Tigers by 28 points. Still to come on ABC Sport. Sydney and Collingwood will provide regular scores of that match. And then the final match of the weekend's footy. It's Essendon taking on Port Adelaide. For the moment, let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Jean Kennedy. New South Wales Police have labelled the killing of 2 women in Sydney's southwest an assassination. A 48-year-old woman died at the scene in Revesby, while a 39-year-old woman died in hospital a short time later after being shot last night. It's been revealed a 16-year-old girl and a 20-year-old man were in the car as well at the time of the shooting. Both were unharmed. Detective Inspector Danny Doherty says it appears the shooting was targeted, with the older woman known to police.
This is an appalling attack on 2 women who have lost their lives in a planned murder and assassination, really, that's happened in a public street in Sydney. It's not acceptable by any standards.
Neighbours of a man who died in a house fire in Adelaide's north say they woke this morning to see the house engulfed in flames. Evelyn Manfield reports.
The 89-year-old man died in a fire at his Paraka home overnight. Neighbours called emergency services at about 1:30 this morning when they could hear glass breaking. 14-year-old neighbour Sandra says she was awake and heard a big bang.
The whole house was on flames, and all we could see was everyone running and trying to see if there was anyone inside and calling for help.
When firefighters arrived, the home was already well alight, and when crews checked inside after the fire, the man was found dead. Police investigating the blaze don't believe it's suspicious and will prepare a report for the coroner.
The federal government will soon begin additional discussions around changes to the safeguard mechanism that sets pollution limits on Australia's 215 biggest carbon emitters. They'll be required to either introduce clean technology options to reduce their carbon footprint or pay for emissions offsets. Energy Minister Chris Bowen says further work is needed to finalise the details.
We're putting these emitters on a pathway to net zero by 2050, as you would expect. That's the nation's objectives. Now, there's, again, some detail to be worked through. I'll be issuing a discussion paper in the next week on some of the finer details.
The 24-year-old man accused of a stabbing attack against author Salman Rushdie has appeared briefly in court and pleaded not guilty to charges of attempted murder and assault. The BBC's Frank Gardner reports on the reaction to yesterday's attack during a literary event in the US state of New York.
Much of the Arab world, they probably didn't like or approve very much of Sir Salman Rushdie, but nevertheless, they've been sympathetic. But in Iran, the hardline Kayhan newspaper, which is very close to sort of religious and judiciary establishment, has been quite unequivocal, praising the attacker, saying that his hand should be showered with kisses. Let's not forget that as recently as 2019, Iran's spiritual leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who succeeded Khomeini, when asked if the fatwa was still in existence, he said, yes, it can never be rescinded.
The WA's opposition has criticised the state government for the number of code yellows declared by West Australian hospitals. A code yellow signals an internal emergency affecting a hospital service, and state-run hospitals have declared more than 500 alerts in the past year. A spokesperson for the Health Minister, Amber-Jade Sanderson, says hospitals are busy across the state, but claims the staff are coping well with the demand. Opposition health spokesperson Libby Mettam says capacity issues are driving up alerts.
This is not about just being busy. This is about a health system which is struggling to cope, despite this government being in office for 5 years.
A further 24 people with COVID have died in Victoria as the state records a drop in new cases. The health department says 3,450 new infections have been reported. The number of active cases across the state has fallen to below 30,000. There are 575 people in hospital with the virus, including 29 in intensive care and 6 on a ventilator. Tens of thousands of fraudulent flood assistance claims have been made this year, with more than $10 million in support denied. Payments have been offered to people impacted by floods in New South Wales and South East Queensland. About 3.5 million claims have been made between February and July. More than 27,000 of those claims appear to be suspicious, with nearly 800 criminal investigations now underway. Liam Adams has won Sydney's City to Surf Fun Run. The 35-year-old electrician finished the 14-kilometre race in just over 41 minutes. Leanne Pompiani won the women's division, finishing in just under 46 minutes. ABC News.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
There's so much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
We're talking stratospheric amounts of cash with these people.
He blew a gasket in a way that I can't ever recall hearing before in a post-game press conference.
I don't think I'm the first person to say it feels a little cultish at times. So what does it look like when you got all those...
Oh, it is, and I'm one of the ever faithful.
It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the Listen app.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
One of 4 Hawks who have played every game in season 2022. James Sicily comes in, leans back on it, but it's a beautiful kick. And might be just what the Hawks needed to spark them into life.
Kicks down to Miller, who's up and marking into the bank of Sicily. Shin guard on his right leg. He kicks long inside the forward 50. Granger Barras knocks it down straight into the partner of Edwards, who jams it on the boot and kicks a goal.
Dylan Moore takes the mark at left half forward. Shields pushes inside 50. He pokes the kick in that direction. And he marks in the left forward pocket just inside 50. 31-year-old in his 14th season from right on 50. Veers out to the right. That's a great kick.
Tough kick for Cumberland. He's a left footer. Left peg against the fence as he moves in from 45 metres out. No problem for him. Superb finish.
Pokes it to Koch, not 15. Call to play on. Kicks towards the top of the goal square. Lynch is there again. Tom Lynch from point blank range for his 4th. Got it. Tigers Army at the punt road end. Tell the rest. He's certainly not wasting any time. Shot clock was still at 20 when he decided to start his approach.
How we do it?
He's in rhythm. Luke Bruce comes in and steers it through.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
The penultimate round of the home and away season, and Sunday afternoon footy kicks off from the MCG. It's Richmond leading by 28 points at the main break. 9-3-57 to Hawthorn 4-5-29. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass call the action. Brett DeLidia and Mark Murphy are your experts, with Jess Webster down on the boundary. So Tom Lynch with 4 goals in the opening half. And the Tigers are in control for the moment of this contest. A chance to really affirm their place inside the top 8 with victory today before they take on the Western Bulldogs in Tassie in the final. They take on the Bombers at the MCG next Saturday night. The Hawks take on the Bulldogs in Tassie in the final round of the home and away season.
We'll be here, Lids, for that next Saturday night.
Yes, we will be. Yep. I gave up the chance to sit in a box and enjoy a few whales to come and work with you, mate. So I'm one way or the other, I'm here to watch the game anyway. I'm excited, the Essendon-Richmond game. But, hopefully we've got a little bit on the line. And otherwise, it might be a little bit of a fizz.
Slightly different experiences, working as opposed to sitting back and enjoying the show. We appreciate that, as always, from you, Litz. You're a team player.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, always was too.
It's a bit of a pump-up, isn't it? Big Lids. Tough work out there for the Oz kickers at the moment because there's nearly every
posts are blowing over.
Goalpost is falling over at the moment, so it must be quite windy out there.
The posts have fallen down, saying that it's going from left to right, but you look at the flags at the other end of the ground, they're going right to left hard.
Swirling around. Round 22 in the NRL. In the early match, St George Illawarra lead the Canberra Raiders 12 points to 6. Later on this afternoon, it's the Gold Coast Titans taking on Manly. Of course, abc.net.au/sport for all your latest sporting news. And under the best of ABC Sport is where you can find all the podcasts. So Grandstand AFL Sunday with Corby, Murph and Lids is there. The lead with Cameron Ling and Adam Ramanauskas. And, of course, Corbin and Ben. You can find it all there under the best of ABC Sport, wherever you get your podcasts from.
Corbin and Ben also on Sport Digital, Clenchy, every Monday and Thursday from 5 p.m. And two boys in the back row on every week. So Murph every Monday and Lids every Thursday. Lids making waves. So before you watch all the news services and see what he had to say, you can actually tune in and hear it live, or as you say in the podcast.
We can't anymore because it's done.
Under the best of ABC Sport folder. He'll be there on Thursday. You'll hear from him.
I'll let you guys settle that out off air. Peggy O'Neill closes in on her time as president of the Tigers. So they had a warm-up match for the AFLW, a practice match involving Hawthorn and Richmond. So part of, no doubt, her legacy will be the introduction of Richmond, what they've, the AFLW, what they've done with Punt Road and the redevelopment there. Such a successful era for Richmond. Her and Brendan Gale. Did you have much to do with Peggy in your time?
Not a heap, but enough to know she's a fantastic operator and been at the helm and made some great decisions. And just a really level person that didn't get swayed. There's been the odd president over the journey that tried to stick their nose into footy matters and team selection and what's been going on, whereas it's just like run the business, oversee and make good calls. And that's what Peggy's been able to do, along with Brendan Gale, two fantastic leaders of that footy club that have earned the right with every bit of success that they've had over the last however many years.
And Jeff Kennett finishes up at the Hawks as well at season's end, whether that's at the end of September, the start of October, or more likely December for a lot of these club officials. How do you feel? Obviously, word coming through that Jordan De Goey is out. Hip flexor Adam Jones tells us from the studio, so he'll be missing, as will Taylor Adams for Collingwood.
Yep.
It's going to be such a good contest. Two sides who can score, two sides who can defend pretty well on the SCG.
Yeah, look,
does it change your opinion with
I think it does. Out? Yeah, I think it does.
Often just jump shit.
Yeah, well, I have. Yeah, so forgive me for making a decision. What do you want me to stick fat? I don't care for whether Collingwood win or lose.
You just keep having opinions, Liz. I'm with you.
All right. Well, I'm going with Sydney. Yeah, and I think Chad Warner will kick another 3 out of the midfield.
Yeah, he has been terrific to go over the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? He just adds that bit of class and grunt. And that was one thing that really stood out last week, was just his grunt around the contest and his strength in amongst the tackles as well. So he's a big out. So hopefully for Collingwood, it's not.
Who do they replace him with? That's the question. It's not a like for like by any stretch, is it? So
no, it's not. But they've been able to cover for him for quite a while, haven't they? And they're on such a hot streak of 11 in a row, and their belief within that football club would just be huge at the moment. So one man down, just another man in, by the sound of things, from what you hear from Collingwood at the moment, which is what you'd like to see.
The official in Lids is Trent Bianco. He probably won't play that role that you're trying to ask about, but Callum Brown and Braden Campbell, the medical subs for the respective teams.
Yeah, okay. A lot of teams try to sing that song, don't they, of a soldier down and replace a soldier. It's a bit of a different story sometimes.
When you got a really good soldier.
Not every soldier is the same. Could it be like a Josh Dacos? Braden Maynard played a pretty good role against Melbourne. Could he maybe have a bit more midfield minutes, but it's not the same explosive centre bounce clearance that you get out of Jordan De Goey, or even just the stock standard clearances out of Taylor Adams.
Well, I think, Robin Peter to pay Paul, essentially there. You're losing a good player down back to bring him into your midfield. I don't know. I like Maynard behind the footy. I think I like what he does. He shores them up down there. Competitor. uses it relatively well. So I think having another player come through the midfield is the biggest thing. Will be is can they continue to roll on if the game does get tight. You'd back Collingwood, wouldn't you? But up there, I just think the Swans are looking to really solidify. What did we say earlier, Corb? That if they win, they can go to second?
Yes.
Yeah.
Winner will be second.
That's huge. And that's just the beauty of the comp at the moment, isn't it? So everyone's got plenty to play for. Hopefully the Swanee supporters get out there and ship a few shardies and clap.
So many results. I mean, if Melbourne had a loss last night, they would have slipped to 6th.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're still inside the top 4, and the Blues are scraping their knuckles trying to get in when they take on Collingwood. We'll be here next Sunday. So 90,000, do you reckon? Do we get above 80,000?
Yeah, I hope so.
I think it has to be around 90, doesn't it?
It's a final come early, really.
Yeah, 100%.
And what we were thinking earlier on, probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, was that it was going to be a Carlton-Collingwood first week of the final. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like that, but they'll get their final next week, especially for Carlton fans. And then Collingwood, who knows whether solidifying a top 4 spot.
Might be week 2 of the finals, Carlton-Collingwood, Murph.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
we'll take that.
If the Baggers go that far. I mean, it's amazing that after this, there's only 20 games left in the entire year. So including obviously the men's finals to follow. And what have we got? 11 games to go in the home and away season. I know these things are always told in hindsight. So if Geelong, they look like the dominant team at the moment. If they go through and win the premiership comfortably, everyone will probably look back on it and say, we saw that coming a long way out. But in terms of sort of the week-to-week storylines, the battle for the 8, even the battle to see who's going to win the flag or earn sort of the credentials as the flag favourite, I can't remember a year like it. I feel like it's been one of the most competitive, exciting seasons the whole way through, where usually we hit about around 17 or 18 and you have a few rough weeks during the depth of winter, and hopefully you get 1 or 2 games in the last couple of rounds that decide the season, whereas it feels like this has given us something the whole way through. It's been a spectacular year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Corb. I think every team could have a hand on the cup. Geelong, obviously, the outliers right at the top, but we made a case for Carlton during the year. We made a case for the Dockers. The Pies continue to win. The Swans are exciting when they're up and about. The Baggers are hanging on for grim death. But
Brisbane, depending on home finals, stand
that's
by
what
for
I mean.
the debate around whether Geelong
and the Tigers as well. They get in. Like you wouldn't want to play the Tigers, especially play them on the MCG in finals in September.
Get some players back,
and you'd be getting Dusty back. Wouldn't they, Lids? I know you got the inside word, mate.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, apparently.
Was there any correspondence from Dustin himself?
Nah.
He doesn't really correspond, does he?
I think he's lost me number.
I dare say Dusty wouldn't take notice of too much media.
He tunes into Corbin and Ben regularly, so he's probably that's why.
Correct.
So the players are out in position, which is good for all of us, and we're just about ready to go for the second half.
He's welcome on the show if he wants to.
I'll
exclusive.
When he gets back to me, I'll let you know.
Richmond by 28 points. The Tigers looking up to lock up their spot in September. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
They kicked 6 goals to 1 in the first term, and both teams with 3 each in the second. So let's see what we've got in the second half. It's 1 down to Newcombe. First touch for the Hawks. Hand pass to McAvoy. Gives it to Sicily. Kicks to centre half forward. Gunston went without it. Spills through to Kosicki. Hand pass to Impey. Tackled by Bolter. Lost it. Knocked away by Dan Rioli to Baker. He's tackled. Top of the goal square for the Hawks, and we'll have a ball up. Of course, 1 half of footy to come for Ben McAvoy on this ground, where he played in a number of grand finals, but won a couple of flags after moving to the Hawks. As Nankervis punches it close to the boundary line, picked up by MP, slips over, he's out of play. He was one of the unusual few that played in the replay McAvoy, but not the drawn grand final, so came in for the injured Michael Gardner the week after.
We had him on the lead yesterday, if you want to go back and have a listen to it. Said he certainly doesn't regret the move. It worked out pretty well for him. Thump down to Nash, he's tackled. Shea Bolton lays the tackle with Dan Rioli. And the umpire will do it once more. Thrown up inside the attacking 50 for the Hawks. A hold, and it's going Hawthorn's way. And Ben McAvoy will get a shot on goal out to the left. He'll kick from just inside 50.
Well, this will be an interesting kick. I never know where those ruck infringements, which way they're going to go.
He's going to give it off. Pokes it over the top, and Jack Gunston takes the mark. He would have been well within his rights to go back and have the shot, but as always, did the team first approach.
So it looks like a bit of show of strength, doesn't it, from Nankervis? Just looked like he was just too strong in the ruck contest, but yeah, you're right, sometimes you just never know which way they're going to go.
Toss of the coin.
So Gunston's setting up on the arc, he steps out, snaps across his body, he bends it too far and misses to the left-hand side. Yet to kick a goal so far, Jack Gunston. The Hawks with the first behind, Richmond by 27 points.
Second miss for him, both of them to the left-hand side, both at the punt road end. And the Hawks are attacking in this third term as Broad brings it into Baker. And half-back for Richmond goes long down the wing. Cumberland runs to the front of the pack. Lynch just puts his fist through it, spills down to Hardwick of the Hawks. Hand pass to Checker. Oh, he got a free kick for a high tackle from Koch. It almost looked like he ducked into that. Will bend at the knees, but a free kick for Checker in front of the Hawks bench. Richmond by 27. Just kicks a high ball to a contest at half forward. McAvoy knocks it down. Prestia had it, lost it. Now Impey. Hand pass back into traffic. Moore spits a hand pass out wide, but straight to McIntosh. He gives it to Vlosten. Kicks down the wing. Unkind bounce for the Tigers. Checker onto it.
Hit it with speed. Hand pass to Newcomb. Inside 50. Central kick. Bolter spoils it down rather than taking the mark. Shield over the top of it. Knocks it towards the advantage of Gunston. Could have been dragged down when he wasn't in possession. But Broad emerges. Takes a bounce out of defence. Pokes the kick over the top. And Jack Revolt marks at left half back. Floodlights on here at the MCG. Overcast day. Temperatures around 13 degrees. Revolt looks long around the southern wing. High ball towards Lynch. Cumberland's there as well. Lands in front of everyone, including Granger Barras. Edwards just shovels a hand pass forward. Got it to Lynch. Corralled. Hand passes over the top to Cumberland. Edge of the 50. Can poke it inside 50. And Trent Cotchin's pushed forward. He marks uncontested in the left forward pocket.
Well, everyone sort of missed that ball, didn't it? It just landed in Shane Edwards' lap in the middle of the pack. Good sharp hands over to Tommy Lynch. He wasn't in two minds, wasn't he? He wasn't sure which way he wanted to go.
Bang on the left foot there at one point and thought, well, I might miss my foot here, so I better handball it.
It's a long way.
Trent Cotchin, in his 15th year, the Brownlow medalist, former captain, comes in, cool, calm and composed, and kicks truly for the first goal of the second half. The Tigers extend their lead. It's a 33-point margin, 10-3-63 to the Hawks, 4-6-30. Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy are with you.
Well, just good work right there by the former skipper, who was up near the contest and just ran really hard towards goal and just found the overlap play there and just found himself free inside 50, which you very rarely see. But obviously the work rate and the nous, obviously, just to read the play and not be sucked into the ball like some players can do and get caught ball watching. Rather, when you're playing that small half-forward role, it's sort of a bit foreign to a lot of midfielders because you spend a lot of your time running away from the ball and trying to run into pockets of space rather than just coming at the footy. So well done there by the former skip. 32
years of age, Liz. Does he go around again?
Well, his form over the last few weeks would probably suggest he might, but yeah.
He was great last week, wasn't he?
Yeah. Interesting to see what Blair Hartley has to say.
3 goals for the year, back in the middle, and then Curvis pushing it over the top. Spills down to Shea Bolton, who just bounces off his ruckman as he gets the centre break. Kicks out wide to half forward. Short and Cumberland chasing after the footy. Underneath it, Checker just paddles it away to Day, who inadvertently soccers it out of bounds, and the ump says spin that in. 60 out from the Richmond goal. Rewalt, yes or no, Lids?
I think he probably does as well, given the amount of goals that he's kicked.
Shane Edwards?
No, I don't think so.
2 of the 3. And the boundary throwing. And then Curvis down to O'Meara. Got a hand pass away to Hardwick. The Hawks hands it out wide to Sicily. Tackled by Bolton. Got a kick away to Prestia. Pushes off McGuinness, but he runs out of room. And a boundary throw-in 60 metres out from the Richmond goal, kicking to the City end in the third turn.
He's almost the most versatile of the 3, Shane Edwards. But as I heard you guys discussing on Grandstand AFL Sunday, injuries can get you at the end. Josh Kennedy, what a great run for the Sydney Swans he had before hamstring injuries. Cotchin receives it from Prestia, kicks inside 50, running onto it. Revolt dragged down by Black, no whistle. And Tom Lynch takes it over the boundary line for a throw-in. Left forward pocket for the Tigers. Do most players know when it's the end?
I think most do, yeah. And I think you're right, like the body just tells you at the end that you just can't keep going, because very rarely does the mind give up, because everyone's really competitive and wants to keep playing, but the body certainly does know.
Nankervis and McAvoy in a tangle. It clears the 2 of them. Cotchin's hand pass picked up by Cumberland. Gets onto the left. It's offline to the right and just clears the boundary line. So out of bounds on the full. Free kick for the Hawks up against the behind post. Tigers by 33.
That's why you've got to marvel at players like David Mundy and Scott Pendlebury, who are still playing at a really high level deep within their 30s.
Ranger Barras next to the behind post, goes to the to a pack at half back, but Tarrant that stands in front of Sicily takes the mark. Sicily trying to appeal for a free kick, involved in a tangle with Baker. Crowded forward 50. Tarrant's just going to set it up at the top of the goal square. Bolton went flying over the top. Falls down to Cumberland. Hand pass to Prestia onto the right peg. Goal. Richmond with the first two to start the second half. And all of a sudden we're up to a new high water mark. It's the Tigers by 39. 7 played in the third term. 11-3-69 to Hawthorn 4-6-30.
It was a great little step and just stop on a dime, wasn't it, by Dion? It looked like he was going to turn and on to his left, and all the Hawthorn defenders thought probably the same thing, and he just thought, nah, I'll just stand back on my right foot here, stop, bang, and turn on my right foot and snap a goal from 35 out. Just a bit of class, isn't he?
Yeah, he's had a great season too when he's managed to keep his body well and being out there for long periods. I reckon you have to be averaging close to 30 touches a game. Adding that ability to kick some goals is, what all midfielders strive to do, isn't it? Just try and be damaging on the scoreboard. We've already seen Trent get on the scoreboard this quarter, and now Dion. It's a good string to their bow, the Tigers.
He's played such a pivotal role, Dion Prestia, in Richmond's wins versus losses. Score involvements in their wins up to 7.1, 4.2 in their losses. Clearances 5.8 in wins compared to their losses 4.3. And the contested possessions, which we know are just cut and copy for him. Newcomb gets the clearance for the Hawks. Hand pass to Sicily, kicks inside 50. Shields couldn't take the mark. He's first onto it though, and Vlauston. His tackle is over the shoulder. And Liam Shields is going to get a look at the big sticks directly in front. He'll kick from 40 metres out for a chance to kick his second.
A bit unlucky there, Nick Vlauston. I thought he did a pretty good job of trying to go in slow and not be overly aggressive, but probably looked a little bit worse than we thought, certainly from the umpire's point of view, from how far away he was. As I said earlier, a reasonably good set shot on goal. Liam Shields, I'll put this one in the book. No Moz.
A three-time premiership winner with the Hawks. Liam Shields shooting for his second. He drags it to the left, and just the weight of Brett Delidio was enough to just drift it offline. And a minor score.
It is windy.
It is windy. 38 points, the Tigers lead. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Stole the words out of my mouth. I'm going to give the players the benefit of the doubt, guys. That westerly wind has really picked up at ground level. Very windy down here, so maybe we'll give them the benefit of the doubt with their skills out there.
Thanks, Jess. In it comes to Vlauston, and then goes long out to the wing. Pickett flies for it off hands. It spills to Rewalt. Sweeping hand pass forward. Back to Pickett. Goes on a run. Just burns away from Blank, who never gave up on the chase. Affected the kick. Hardwick hand pass away to Mitchell. He gives it to Moore. And he's off and running through the logo on the southern wing. Hand pass out wide to Ward. Kicks back inboard. Newcomb takes the mark. 60 out, centre half forward. Crowded forward 50. Looking inside of the punt road and goes across the ground to Hardwick. Tigers by 38, and then just hits up Sarong, who's leading for it at centre half forward. He marks 45 out directly in front.
Good composure by the Hawks. They could have been excused for going in long and strong from the turnover, but just work the ball around outside 50 and just let their forwards go to work and just let them work into some space. And then a good little kick there by Hardwick, who hit up a little 20-metre dart.
So Jai Sarong in his second game. He's the younger brother of Caleb, but he's got the height in the family for his first goal. And the big time, he kicks right to the goal line, and it's whacked through. A rush behind. Richmond's lead now 37 points. 11-3 to 4-8. 11 minutes played in the third.
Pick 53 in 2021, presented with his jumper by Peter Hudson last week. Down in Tassie. Hawks through. Day regather on half forward, gets the hand pass to Shield. Nice dash, he dribbles a kick inside 50, slipping over Bruce, and then Bolter comes sliding in. Laying the tackle as well is Nick Vlauston, who's going to get rewarded. With Bruce left with really no option with the footy stuck underneath him. And the umpire penalised the lack of intent to try and knock it out.
He's 193, Jai Sarong. Caleb Sarong, 179.
Nothing wrong with that, Corby.
14 centimetres.
We know who's winning the backyard battles there. Kick up to the wing.
The little bloke.
Will Day juggles them up. Although the older siblings do have a habit of just holding them at arm's length. Dave veers out to the right. Long kick towards the goal mouth. Gunston's in the pack. Bruce as well. It clears to the back. Gunston trying to get back onto it. And he can't reel it back in. Just a matchup I'm keeping an eye on. Ben McAvoy's trying to drop back into defence. His natural opponent, Morris Rioli Jr. No other sport in the world you'd see that mismatch in size and pace.
37-point lead for Richmond. Start of this third term. We're about 10 minutes old from the boundary throw-in. Comes to Newcomb. Hands it to Nash. A little fumble. Back to Newcomb. He's under the pump. Gives it to Nash again. Hand pass in the phone booth away to Mitchell, who just hooks the kick back to the hot spot. 20 out from the Hawthorn goal. Hand on it from Broad on the way through. Spills to Pickett. Gives it back to Broad. And the premiership teammates will work it out of defence. Sweeping hand pass to Rioli Jr., who's got it. Hardwick tries to close him down. Morris just burns straight past him. Kicks to centre half forward. Edwards the target and takes the mark. Gee, there's 2 free inside 50. The kick heads in their direction. It'll be Tom Lynch who takes the mark. Had Cumberland in front of him. The closest player to him on the ground inside 50 was his Richmond teammate. And Tom Lynch can line up to try and make it number 5.
We just go back to the half-back line there where Nathan Broad just used his pace to create some run there for Morris Rioli Jr. to just burst, and there's not many blokes to take a bounce when an opposition player's closing in on him. Just a bit of confidence from the young man there. I really enjoyed it, and just found their way at the back just by that pure ball movement through the corridor.
So 45-degree angle, 30 metres out. Tom Lynch moves in. He's got 1 for the thumb, 5 for Lynch. And we're only 13 minutes into the third term. He's having a big day up front for Richmond as they chase a return to September. The Tigers by 43, a new game high, 12-3-75, Hawthorn 4-8-32. 13 minutes into the quarter, the Tigers with the only 3 goals in the third term.
You know, the seas just parted for Nathan Broad, didn't they? There's a high ball coming in. Marlon Pickett read it off the pack and just got it forward. Nathan Broad, then he just found himself out the front of the stoppage almost, and to get the ball into Morris Rioli Jr.'s hands off the half-back line, he just said, right, I can see a bit of space here. I'm going long down the middle. And then defences are just all at sea. As soon as you have fast play like that, they'll be coming back through the corridor. It's very hard to defend and force teams wide. So they did well to put him out on a little bit of an angle, Tom Lynch, but very easy shot on goal.
They really have exposed them at the clearances. The Tigers 24-19, and in transition. Back in the middle of the ground, spills out Pickett's way for the Tigers on the wing. Hand pass to Bolton, quickly away to Graham, long towards the goal mouth. Lynch with a little slip, he's still got it against Granger Barras, and then he's shoved down, so this should be 50. No, the Tigers fans at the City End thought it should have been. Kicked 7 against the West Coast Eagles. We're in a game where he kicked 7-5.
There's great sharp hands there out of the centre square. They just look like they're starting to really believe that they can put them away here at the moment, the Tigers. And any time the ball's coming in deep and high, Tom Lynch just looks like he's got his mitts all around it at the moment.
52 for the season so far. For goal number 6, Tom Lynch, point-blank range. He kicks it high into the second tier almost, but he steers it straight through the middle. All of a sudden, the Tigers are on a roll, having slammed through 4 goals to none in this third term, and it balloons out to a 49-point lead. 13-3, 81. 13-3 to the Hawks, 4-8-32. 15 gone third term.
Well, it's Jack Scrimshaw probably out of his weight division a little bit there. I don't know whether they're trying to protect Emerson Jecker and James Blank by having him play on Tom Lynch, but Denver Granger Barras is going to try his hand now. Well, there's not too many others that you can really pass the baton to unless you want to play one of those big boys in the ruck and send big boy McAvoy down there. So they're all having their chance. But Gigi's been good, hasn't he? Hands have been strong and kicking it pure at the moment. Yep. Sometimes he can be a bit wayward, but today he's been on song.
Double figures hopefully today, you reckon?
Oh, that'd be nice.
He's up to 4th in the Coleman medal race. He's 9 behind the leader, Charlie Curnow, with a quarter and a half left in this game, and next week to come. Out of the middle, Richmond again break away with it. Shea Bolton, hand pass to Cochin, kicks inside 50. Cumberland just drops in front of the leading Rewalt to take the mark. He's got a 35 out just left of centre.
You've got to cash in when you're a half forward. And that's the second time he's just snuck across the big full forward.
Do you reckon Jack's going to just walk past him and just go, young fella, just don't come back into my space like that again?
Pull your head in. What did Fev used to call it? The swamp? The big croc? Get out of the swamp.
Just walk
it. I think Jack's like that anymore. It would have been in the past maybe, but not anymore.
Who was in the swamp most regularly? Who do you have to try and clear out of the way?
No one. Everyone knew better to be involved in the swamp.
Customary approach, a little skip on the way in for the left footer Cumberland. He misses. It's interesting kicking approach, isn't it? He's almost sort of drags that left leg. A little hitch in the giddy up, but ordinarily it goes straight and behind here. Richmond by 50.
Day brings the Hawks back into play. Hardwick couldn't take the mark. Morris Rioli Jr. pinches his pocket, kicks to Lynch. He's got it again. Another turnover from the Hawks. And whenever Morris Rioli Jr. is involved, you know it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, you got a feel for Granger Barras there. You just don't have a hope when you're turning the ball over inside your defensive 70. But Morris Rioli Jr. again, we've sung his praise a fair bit today, and so we should.
6 straight. Here's the hardest of the lot. He steps out. It's no problem. So Tiger Tom snaps on the right. It's a dream day for Tom Lynch with his 7th, and we're not even at three-quarter time yet. 14-4-88 to the Hawks. 4-8-32. Check those record books. When was the last time we had double digits?
That's a good question, Clinchy. I don't know.
Remember last year, Josh Bruce kicked 10, obviously, on Good Friday
against the.
I think that was it.
A couple of years ago? Yeah. Last year?
I think that was last year, wasn't it?
Last year, yeah.
Ben Brown had 10 as a Roo. That's a long time ago.
Yeah. Jack he's kicked a couple of big bags, I reckon, back in the day. But I think it was Morris Rioli Jr. I thought Hardwick had that absolutely sewn up, but he's throwing a boot, it looked like, and kicked it up to himself. And good luck, Denver Granger Barras in the forward 50. The big fella's got all that space.
I think Tommy Lynch just told big Ben Miller just work your way out of that 30-metre vicinity, big fella. Just clear it out.
10 on Good Friday last year. Josh Bruce, the last to do it. The season high is now held by Tom Lynch and Josh Kennedy. In the last 8 days, Kennedy kicking 8 in his final game, and now Lynch has equalled him at the 19-minute mark of the third term with 8 for Richmond. They've kicked the last 5 in the game, but it's Hawthorn going forward here as Tom Mitchell kicks to the top of the goal square. A little shove. Kaczynski got rid of Bolter, but then under immediate pressure lost it. Dan Rioli through traffic, just clean. Got a hand pass out to Edwards. He dishes it off to Vlosten. Fends off O'Meara. Hand pass out in front of Graham. Gee, the Tigers with a real pep in their step as Graham kicks back inboard. Lynch will get it on the hop. Trying to break the Granger Barras tackle. He hands it to Cochin. Floats it inside 50. Morris takes the mark. It was a wobbly kick on the way in, and he stood underneath it, hugs it to his chest. He'll shoot from 30 out straight in front.
Good mark. There was pressure coming from everywhere there, so held his ground well and just kept his eyes on the ball. And just a smart ball use out of defensive 50.
What about the sidestep of Dan Rioli there? All I could think of was the longest shot. It was like, whoop, away he goes.
Just adjust that little All-Australian squad into a team, I think, there, Lids.
Okay.
So Morris Rioli, what a day he's having. All the pressure acts. He's kicked a goal, but that'll do for now. He misses wildly out to the right on the set shot. Behind. Richmond by 57 points. That game-high lead continues to grow. The Tigers just needing to win to lock up their place in September.
Hardwick takes the kicking for the Hawks. Short to Tom Mitchell. A bit more careful with his disposal here. Up the middle to O'Meara. He marks at the back edge of the centre square. Out to the southern wing to Harry Morrison, who takes the mark. He wants to switch back inside the defensive 50 to Hardwick. Takes the mark on his chest. Looks out to switch to the members' side. Will Day's underneath it. He takes the mark. Jack Revolt lumbers after him. Day looks up the wing towards Moore. Kicks to he and Rioli. Clears Rioli. Moore did well to work him underneath. Hand pass over the top to Bruce inside 50. Looks towards the big sticks. Awkward kick. It might bounce through. No. Toby Nankervis gets a hand to it. The ever-reliable Big Nank sees it through for a minor score. And Richmond's lead is 56 points at the 20-minute mark of the third term.
This might be the worst kicking day of Luke Bruce's career.
Yeah, I've lost him big time, haven't I?
He just kicked a helicopter there on the run. He's one of the best kicks in the game over the last 15 years, and he's put him everywhere today. Very uncharacteristic as Richmond hurriedly up with a wing, and of course Bolton wins it in congestion. Hand pass to Edwards, kicks inside 50. Morris Rioli Jr. does a mark, gathers, he's got a couple, and the Tigers are rolling at the G. 6 straight to start the third. And their place in September looks assured, and now they're just sending a warning to the rest of the competition. Richmond 15-5-95, Hawthorn 4-9-33, time on in the third.
Well, you certainly owe him a case, I reckon, Murph. I'll be sending that down to Waverley. He hasn't had a great day. Lukey Bruce in front of goals, but more concerning is probably their ability to defend the ground at the moment. Richmond are just opening them up, aren't they?
Yeah, we don't usually see so many coast-to-coast goals.
From one end to the other, aren't they? They're just going bang, speed.
And just so much space too, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So they could have really raffled that going forward, but they're just outworking, and their pace through the midfield's really exposing the Hawks at the moment.
So what can Sam Mitchell do when it starts to become an avalanche like this?
Yeah,
Turn to his assistants?
I think so.
Any good ideas?
Well, I think the way in which they used the ball before, they had a shot from it where Luke Bruce had a bit of a mongrel punt. They're trying to work the ball around uncontested-wise. That's the way to get through Richmond, but yeah, they just haven't quite got their hands on the football enough.
All of a sudden, the ferocious Tigers are forcing errors as well. Short gets the clearance for Richmond. Long towards Lynch. He takes the mark. The Man Mountain in a pack of three. And a chance to kick his eighth. 3 in the first, 1 in the second. He's got 3 so far in the third. A chance to join Josh Kennedy.
Good luck, James Sicily. I think he stands 186, Sis. Going up against Tom Lynch, and he reads it as well as anyone, James Sicily in the air, but he's just hot at the moment, Tom Lynch.
He's kicked 7 straight so far this afternoon, pretty much directly in front. 35 metres out, Tom Lynch for his 8th. He is channeling the all-time great full forwards today and putting on a show at the MCG. Come on down, Tom Lynch. And the Tigers are making mincemeat of the Hawks. 68 points their lead. 16-5-105 to Hawthorn 4-9-33. A 7-goal third quarter in which Tom Lynch is stealing the show with 4 of them.
Well, he's such a weapon, isn't he? He stands at 199 and 99 kegs and just moves unbelievably well too. And to be able to grab the ball in the manner that he does, he just doesn't look like he's going to drop anything at the moment. He's just taking him so clean.
Is that the best part of today's game, those contested marks impacts?
It's really stood out today because he's probably taken 4 of those big pack marks. And usually he's obviously great one-on-one, but to be able to do it with bodies around him and just be so clean he's been outstanding.
He's kicked 4 of the last 5 in the game, and he's done it in 11 minutes. His onslaught continues for Richmond. Out of the middle again. Pickett hands it to Short, kicks to the top of the goal square. 2 Hawks collide. Blank trying to swat it away. Straight down to Cumberland. And he walks it in for one of the easiest goals he'll ever kick. And Richmond have kicked 8 unanswered goals in the third term. Richmond to 17-5-107. Hawthorn 4-9-33. 25 travelled in the third. Cumberland with his second.
Well, we spoke about Carlton last night then to do the fundamentals. I think that's what the Hawks just need to find one inside 50 and lock on hard. Emerson Jecker just had body contact, but then just got caught ball watching, didn't he? Noah Cumberland attacking towards the goals. Ran on to the open one, just a contest, Blank trying to clear the area, but and just straight to Cumberland.
There's just the awareness too, because Sicily had worked his man underneath the ball, was going to take an uncontested mark almost, and he's just come across and spoiled him. So you could see that James Sicily was not impressed once that ball went through the big sticks, but you'd rather blokes have a crack at it, but that's just the awareness you've got to have as a defender, that your teammate's going to be in the best position to mark it.
The Hawks have only had a couple of bad losses against the Saints and the Suns. This is looming as that. Newcomb gets the clearance. Hand pass to O'Meara. Run down by Shea Bolton. Back onto it, Prestia. Squeeze the kick at halfback. Back into the middle of the ground. O'Meara over the footy. Shields just flicks it out to Tom Mitchell. He loses it. Ward tries to regather. Hand pass to Scrimshaw. Kicks inside 50. McAvoy takes the mark. Had the height advantage on Robbie Tarrant. And just planted himself in front. And is trying to stop the run.
Just in 12 minutes here, Clinchy, so of real time, not of on the game clock. 6 goals to Richmond to 1 behind. So a goal every 2 minutes.
It's great, isn't it?
Not including the time going back to the middle and everything else.
He gave off the last one, Ben McAvoy. I don't think he'll give this one off. Directly in front, 35 metres out. As announced, his 15th season in the AFL will be his final one. The Hawthorn captain, having endured so much with his neck injury, a moment to savour. As he stops an avalanche at the other end, as Richmond had put on the last 8 goals of the match, and as has been such the way throughout his career, Ben McAvoy trying to lead from the front. One against the run. 17-5, 107 to the Hawks, 5-9, 39.
No, well done, Benny McAvoy. He was involved in a contest with Dion Prestia, had a big tackle on him and then just worked his way forward once he realised his teammates were going to win the ball and found himself in a dangerous spot. Almost uncontested, but Robbie Tarrant tried to break up the mark, but Big Ben was too good in game 251.
What will you remember about him, Murph, as a player?
Oh, just aggression. He's just always one of those blokes who you know what you're going to get from him. He's always hard at the contest and
honest. Yeah.
Just honest, yeah, you're right. Just know what you're going to get from him week in, week out.
Joined the Hawks in 2014, played in back-to-back flags in his first 2 years as he wins a hit out here, but it's Nankervis, his opposing ruckman, gets a hand pass to Prestia, kicks a tracer bullet out to Pickett, takes the mark, checks his kick back inboard to Sonzi, who marks right on the 50. Where's Lynch? He's in the pocket. Hand pass to Gibcus. Kicks to a crowded goal square. The mark's taken by Edwards. Centimetres off the turf. Low down next to the behind post. Gee, it floated through and everybody missed it. And at the back, Shane Edwards just stood there and plucked one of the more unorthodox marks that you'll see deep in a forward 50.
He'd stand in the gully, wouldn't he? Just,
I was going to say stand first slip in the...
Sharp catch, sharp finish. He bends it through from a tight angle. And Shane Edwards kicks his second of the day. Richmond immediately answer. And this spectacular third term gets even better for the Tigers. They've kicked 9 goals in the quarter. 8-5-1-13 to Hawthorn, 5-9-39. 29 travel third term. Richmond by 74 points.
It's almost one of those ones, Lids, where the first slip's standing there and the keeper just hasn't gone. He's just stuck out the right bit and grabbed it.
Yours, mine, sorry. Oh, no, well done, well caught, Shane Edwards. But we asked the question at half-time, didn't we, of what's Hawthorn going to do? They're going to have to come out and really explode in this third quarter. Well, it's been quite the contrary. Richmond are the ones who have exploded, and they have just gone whack. Put this game to bed.
Still to come today, Sydney and Collingwood from the SCG. We'll keep you across that match, which gets underway in about 14 minutes' time. And Essendon and Port Adelaide to close out the weekend's footy. Cochin gets the clearance for the Tigers to Prestia, trying to spin out of a tackle. Eventually, Jager O'Meara locks him up and he will be penalised holding the footy. Did take on the one tackler and eventually Dylan Moore and Jager O'Meara got him. His kick is smothered though by Prestia, gathered by Graham. Hand pass inboard to Cochin. Newcomb gets a hand onto it. Cochin regathers for the Tigers. Out to the members wing. In front of Prestia. Hardwick gathers. The Tigers' pressure is immense. Prestia another go on Jekka. Newcomb gets in there. Tries to sidestep an opponent. Links up with Tom Mitchell. Through the middle of the MCG. Kicks inside 50. Bruce Gunston there. Gunston can't complete the mark. And Baker gets it out. Only as far as Floston. Has to go back in Gibcus. Under the pressure of the Hawks. And then Bolter's hand pass is sharp for Floston. Dodging and weaving. He found a way out. Swansea with a hand pass to Tarrant, who just gives it back. Swansea kicks up towards half back. It's over the head of Edwards. Scrimshaw can get back onto it for the Hawks and link up with Ward at right half forward.
So Ward can look short, trying to hit up Bruce. It's knocked away from him by Tarrant, close to the boundary line. McIntosh keeps it alive. Hand pass and turnover though to Scrimshaw. Got it to Ward. Hand pass to Mitchell. Goes back by hand to Blank. He kicks across the half-forward line and Newcomb reaching up takes the mark. It's considered a real show for the rising star in the first half of the year. Now an unbackable favourite in Nick Dacos at the Pies. He kicks to the top of the goal square over the head of McAvoy. No mark for Nankervis. McAvoy hands it to Moore. He can snap it through for a goal. He hits the post. And behind. Richmond's lead down to 73. 18-5 to 5-10. 31 points. 31 minutes rather in the third term, 73 points.
Nick Vlostone has the footy at the punt road end. Just runs out of the defensive goal square and decides to kick it long towards the members' wing. Free kick from the non-officiating umpire, and it's going to go the Hawks' way. Ben McAvoy will take it. Quickly veers out to the right, kicks towards Kajitsky. Gibcus flew in front, spoils it down. Gunston onto it, good tackle from Pickett. Hand pass goes over the boundary line in the left forward pocket for the Hawks. Down to Jess Webster on the boundary.
Tom Lynch is having a day out, but to put it into context, he's the first person to kick 8 goals in a game at the MCG in the 18-teen era, and that stat coming from our favourite statistician, Sir Swamp Thing on Twitter.
He's all over it. Thanks, Jess, for that. From the boundary throw-in, McAvoy knocks it down to Dan Rioli. Surge kick up to the wing. Lynch and Sicily there. Sicily runs onto the loose footy, chips it back to Hardwick. He retreats all the way back to Granger Barras. Across the half-back line, wanted Ward. Miller got himself involved, swats it down, but Ward mops it up. Short kick to Sicily. 73 points Richmond's way. Sicily goes short to Mitchell. 9 goals to 1 in the quarter. It's Richmond's highest scoring term of the season, any quarter. 9 goals will do that for most teams as Mitchell goes back to Hardwick and a long kick across the back edge of the centre square to Sicily. He'll go long out to Ward. Top 10 pick from last year. He just chips it further afield to Shields. In the waning moments of this third term, which has been all Richmond, Shields puts it inside 50 and it's a turnover. Bolter takes the intercept mark on the bell. What a statement in the premiership quarter. And the side that has won 3 of the last 5 flags. They're going back to September, trying to extend this dynasty into a 6th year. It'll be their 5th final series in that time, aiming, of course, for a 4th flag. The goal kickers, Tom Lynch kicked 4 of the Tigers' 9 goals in that third term. He's got 8 for the game, which is an equal season high with Josh Kennedy from last week. And then 2 each for Edwards, Cumberland and Rioli. That's Morris. Singles for Prestia, Cochin, Bolton and Miller. While for Hawthorn, 1 each for Sicily, Bruce, Kajitsky and Shields. Ben McAvoy has 1 as well in what is his final game here at the MCG.
At halftime, it was Richmond by 28 points. We were sort of saying if Hawthorn had taken 1 or 2 of their chances, it could have almost been sort of 3 to 4 goals. All of a sudden now it's 73 points. Tom Lynch has 8 goals, including 3 in the first, 1 in the second, and 4 in the third. It's all unfolding on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hello, Costa here. Gardening is great for the whole family, and I want to tell you something that will get the kids in your life growing. It's my brand new podcast, Gardening Buds. Everything a kid needs to know to make their own garden grow. Whether you've got a big backyard, a balcony, or a little pot on a windowsill. Join Kaylee and I for Gardening Buds. Out now on the ABC Kids Listen and ABC Listen apps.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Trent Cotchin, in his 15th year, the Brownlow medalist, former captain, comes in cool, calm and composed and kicks truly for the first goal of the second half.
Crowded forward 50. Tarrant's just going to set it up at the top of the goal square. Bolton went flying over the top. Falls down to Cumberland. Hand pass to Prestia onto the right peg. Goal. Richmond with the first 2 to start the second half. So 45-degree angle, 30 metres out. Tom Lynch moves in. He's got 1 for the thumb. 5 for Lynch.
Back in the middle of the ground, spills out Pickett's way for the Tigers on the wing. Hand pass to Bolton, quickly away to Graham, long towards the goal. Matt Lynch with a little slip. He's still got it. For goal number 6, Tom Lynch, point-blank range. He kicks it high into the second tier almost, but he steers it straight through the middle. So he brings the Hawks back into play. Hardwick couldn't take the mark. Morris Rioli Jr. pinches his pocket, kicks to Lynch. He's got it again. 6 straight. Here's the hardest of the lot. He steps out. It's no problems for Tiger Tom. Snaps on the right.
Pickett hands it to short, kicks to the top of the goal square. 2 Hawks collide, flank, trying to swat it away. Straight down to Cumberland. And he walks it in for one of the easiest goals he'll ever kick. And Richmond have kicked 8 unanswered goals in the third term.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
3 quarters in the books at the MCG, and what a quarter it was from the Tigers, opening up a 73-point advantage with a quarter to go. 18-5, 113 to the Hawks, 5-10-40. So another game where Richmond score over 100 points, and we've still got a quarter to play. Tom Lynch with 8 goals. Matt Clinch and Corbin Minimas calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy are your experts.
Well, it's been an absolute domination in that third quarter. And for most of the game, to be completely honest, by the Tigers. We asked that question, as I said, during that quarter. Could the Hawks turn the tables and come out and breathe a bit of fire in that third term? And it was the shoe was on the other foot pretty quickly from the Tigers. They just went whack, led by Tom Lynch up front. Anytime I went near him, he was able to get his big buckets around it. And just sticky, not just sticky mitts, but he's kicking pure at the moment. But everything they did, just time and space, haven't they? The ability to go from end to end, moving the footy clean, not missing targets. Half forwards are just finding 10, 15 metres time. When you got that time, it makes it very easy to make decisions. And then the poor big goal fullbacks in Granger Barras or Blank or whoever's got Tom Lynch, they're fighting a losing battle. Like how much support have they had? Very little.
Oh, very little. And I just really have enjoyed Richmond's half-back line today. I know I always talk highly of Dan Rioli. He's one of my favourites. But Nathan Broad, I reckon he should almost be in your All-Australian squad. Broady, I think he's been fantastic this year. Yep. But they've run and creating run off that half-back line. But then just the use through the corridor. We saw it quite a bit then in that third quarter. I know they scored quite heavily, but just their change of angles and their desire to want to go through the corridor was really noticeable. And their forwards who get really high up the ground and then work back into some really solid space. They just know their game style inside out, don't they, the Tigers? And they're pure to watch at the moment. They're going to cause a bit of danger, I reckon, in the finals campaign this season. So you wouldn't want to be coming up against them in the first week. So whether that's a Fremantle or a Brisbane or a Sydney, they're going to have their work cut out to beat the Tigers at the moment.
That's exactly right. But I've been in positions like where Hawthorn are at the moment. Nothing really to play for.
2 to go.
Getting an absolute hiding late in the year, it makes it. It's like, come on, let's just get this over and done with and then roll down to Tassie next week.
That's the mindset, unfortunately, probably of a few blokes out there at the moment thinking, I hope this game just peters out. We can get out of here and move on to next week. And then, as you said, get down to Tassie and trying to finish off the year strongly and try and ruin the Western Bulldogs' chances of playing finals next week. But there's still a quarter to go here, and there's players playing there for their career as well. So there's still a lot on the line.
Now, your good mate Dustin, where would he be watching Lids? Might be a hard team to force your way back into.
I reckon we can sneak him in somewhere, but just not sure where. I'm not sure where he'd be watching though. Probably tuned in, listening to us on the couch.
I was going to say, would he be here? Most players would have to be here, wouldn't they?
Yeah, he gets treated a little bit differently, that big fella.
Richmond by 73 points. Into the final term we go. Prestia gets the opening clearance to Shea Bolton, who was tackled and locked up by McAvoy, unrewarded. Spills out to Broad, kicks towards Morris Rioli Jr., who takes the mark at left half forward. 11 pressure acts for Morris through 3 quarters. He is a player who catches the eye, kicks on cue straight into Day. On the mark, another chance of layer pressure out with a tackle. Morrison picks it up for the Hawks. Hand pass to Newcomb, steps around Cumberland. Hand pass to Impian, game 150. Out to Tom Mitchell, who's trying to backpedal around Dan Rioli. Links up with Newcomb, draws the opponent Cumberland. Hand pass to Impey, kicks out towards the right forward pocket, and Gunston was trying to hold his ground, but Noah Bolter went up early and punches it out of play.
So you reckon Dusty wouldn't be here watching today?
I reckon he probably is somewhere in a box.
Gary Ablett Jr. never used to stick around and watch. He used to be a terrible watcher apparently at the game days. He used to just go home.
Sounds like a good excuse from the boundary throw-in, and Curvis knocks it back out of play.
Should have used it myself.
Yeah.
What makes you a terrible watcher? Goes, I just don't like it.
Just too nervous.
Yeah, prefer to be on my couch. Do you, mate? So do we all.
Not sure the first-year rookie's sort of getting away with it. 2 minutes away from a start in the game between Sydney and Collingwood. We'll keep you updated with that. And then, of course, for our audience on ABC Radio throughout SA and the NT, you've got the Power coming up, playing Essendon at Docklands next from the boundary throw-in. Comes down to Prestia, floats a kick forward, 1 bounce out of play.
That used to be a big no-no, didn't it? I think John Kennedy, Dermot Burton told a story of John Kennedy dropping him for leaving at half-time, three-quarter time in the seniors, having played in the reserves, and really set a standard by everyone being in attendance, all in, one in.
2 minutes into the final term, Richmond by 73. They're going back to the finals. Tom Lynch is on 8 goals from the stoppage. Hawthorn win it. Mitchell to Nash to O'Meara. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Floston just a double fister. Just bangs it out of play and a throw in forward pocket for the Hawks. Jess Webster's on the boundary. Jess.
Richmond have activated their medical sub. Jack Graham comes out of the game with a foot injury, and Jason Castagna's in.
Fingers crossed that's not too serious for Jack. One of their prime movers as Nan Curvis palms it down. to Morrison. He's kicked smothered by Bolton and then runs onto the footy. He's locked up straight away and a ball up half forward for the Hawks. They've only got 3 on the injury list. One young Thompson Dow, the other two of their best in captain Dylan Grimes and Dustin Martin. So not a heap of injuries, but 2 of their better players.
Throw back in. McIntosh's kick is smothered. The Hawks through Mitchell to Newcomb. Run down by Morris Rioli Jr. and holding the footy. The Richmond fans loving watching the Morris show. And he takes the free kick at left half back.
It's a nice show to watch, isn't it? Jeez, he's electric.
One of those players who look at the stat sheet and it mightn't show that much, but that doesn't tell the story of his impact on the game. Kicks up towards Riebold, he spoils it down. Prestia kicks towards half forward. Castagna into the action, tackled immediately by Hardwick. And the footy locked to his chest. Where the umpire to ball it up just short of left half forward for the Tigers. They lead by 73.
9-goal third quarter for the Tigers, and then Curvis grabs it out of the ruck. Hand pass out in front of Cochin, who's bowled over. Pack forms behind him. Cochin gets a second go at it. Handed out by Morris. Hand pass a turnover. Hardwick for the Hawks at half back. Gives it to Newcomb. Big Polly Farmer sweeping hand pass into the middle of the ground. Scrimshaw pounding through. Still knocks it out in front of him. Picked up by Vloston. He's then crunched after grabbing the footy. Impey lays the tackle. And a ball up on the attacking edge of the centre square for the Hawks.
Do you feel that Morris Rioli Jr. is going to ditch the 49 next year and go to a different number, or make that his own?
I hope so. It's a bit heavy, the 49. I reckon he
Looks heavy.
He could get even quicker.
Yep.
Some nice orange boots or yellow boots and then a low number.
McAvoy taken high with a ruck infringement, so hand pass away to Impey, kicks inside 50, hands to it, Kaczynski, no mark, spills down Richmond's way, Vloston, hand pass out to McIntosh, kicks in the Rioli Jr. direction, but it's Newcomb who takes the mark, pokes it inside 50, and Gunston's got it. Right half forward.
A good setup behind the footy there. They had both Day and Newcomb there to take that mark. One of the few times they've been able to get some repeat inside 50s. Jack Johnson, who wanted to knock this one through, get on the board.
Kicked 11 in his previous 3 games. A quieter day with a couple of misses. Gunston finds the major opening here. He pops it through. They all competed on the goal line. They will just confirm that it wasn't touched up with the arc, but it'll be a goal to Gunston. And his first of the day. Hawthorn move to 6-10-46. Richmond will be 8-5, 113. But not before a little visit to the arc.
It's over by 1.5 metres. Josh Gibbs has walked past on Jan Fagner and just said, I didn't touch that, man.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about going upstairs. Or are they checking to see whether it's touched the post?
They might be, I think.
We'll get the advantage of Snicko here, of course. Yep, all good. No problems there, no spike on the Snicko. And the goal umpire will signal full points here, a major for Jack Gunston after the delay. So make that 12 goals in his last 4 starts. Tigers by 67.
Was Onge at Carlton when you were there, Andre Gianfagno?
No, he was at
Bullants.
He was at Melbourne. He got picked up by Melbourne, didn't he, at the start?
Okay. And then he went and played with the Bullants, which was affiliated
with you guys. Affiliated with us.
Talking about Andre Gianfagno, one of the central umpires. Very good cricketer too.
Yep.
Played a bit of cricket with him, didn't we? Ex-teammate of ours, I suppose.
Played VFL footy?
Played VFL footy.
Fellow opening bowler. Wasn't he with you in the under-17s campaign?
Oh, I know you bring it up. Yeah, it's a tough decision.
Tough decision.
Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy doing some of their best work late. Dan's been in touch. Morris Rioli Jr. chose 49 as his dad wore it at South Fremantle.
So be sticking with it?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Might be selling a few jumpers before the season's out. Back in the middle, McAvoy one down the tap for the Hawks. Moore is able to pinch it after short over round the footy. Newcomb gets the hand pass to Tom Mitchell, who kicks to Gunston on the lead. A centre bounce clearance for the Hawks, and Jack Gunston had a little bit of space and was able to take the mark in front of Noah Bolter.
Of course, his dad wore 17 at Richmond. Yeah. That's why Dan's got it, and that's a very highly sought after number, of course, that the captain wore it for a few years there.
Yeah.
And of course, Captain Blood, Jack Dyer, famously wore 17 in his career.
So Jack Gunston looking for back-to-back goals for the Hawks. pretty stock standard as he comes in and slams it through into the Hawthorn cheer squad at the city end of the MCG. So the Hawks with back-to-back goals. They only managed to one in the third quarter, so the first time in the match, I think. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong.
Bang on. Yeah.
18-5-113 the Tigers, the Hawthorn 7-10-52. It was the lack of conviction that I believed that they'd actually kicked two in the trot before that.
Was that Kane Johnson who wore the 17 as keeper, the first trying to bring it in then, or was it?
Wayne Campbell started, I reckon, late in his captaincy, and then Kane Johnson, Chris Newman, and then Trent decided that he wanted to go a different route. Wear the 9.
We won 3 flags.
Turned out okay. He was a 3-time premiership captain, but I like the tradition. I love that Port Adelaide still do it, and we don't have enough of those left in the game. Once upon a time, all the clubs, the captain wore number 1 and the vice captain number 2. As Nankervis wins the tap out to the outer wing for Pickett. Hand pass to Short. High up and under down to half forward. Impey overruns it. Spills down to Castagna, who's on the ground as Jess told us for Jack Graham. Hand pass got its way to Cumberland eventually. Now out to Mitchell. His hand pass for the Hawks finds Newcomb. To McGuinness. Hand pass away to Moore off the back flank. He comes out wide to Shields. McIntosh did very well for the Tigers. Knocks it away. Picks it up. Hand pass out to Tarrant under pressure. Tarrant's tackled. Taken to ground and he's in trouble.
Hot footy.
Trying to break the tackle of Scrimshaw to the umpire and holding the ball. Free kick for Hawthorn.
Robbie Tarrant in his 15th AFL season. First season at the Tigers. Has found his way into their best 22. He did have a few wrestles throughout the early stages of the season. Scrimshaw into Hardwick. And looks to advance the Hawks inside 50. High kick towards Sarong, nudged underneath it by Broad. In front position, Gibcus clears the path for Voston, who hand passes to Pickett. He slipped over. Hand pass pinched by Gunston, swings onto the right, and he's kicked his third. Or did it hit the very bottom of the post?
Free kick.
Free kick, right.
Stiff. That's a good goal.
Grabbed it instinctively, slammed on the boot, but instead it's a Marlon Pickett free kick. He is short to Baker.
Connor Nash, who got him high sort of as Gunston was chunking it on the boot. So, as you said, Quincy, a little unlucky. Jack Gunston kicking the only 2 goals of the quarter so far. As Baker comes out to Edwards. Just short kick finds Jaden Short, low down, back edge of the centre square. Comes out wide to Baker. Richmond by 61. They did lead by 74 points. At one stage in that third term. He chips at the press here. I did some homework for you, Lid. So averaging 24 disposals a game, but he's been subbed out on 3 occasions. So take those tallies out of 16, 10 and 4. So 28.5 disposals a game when he plays. It's a hell of a year for him. He goes long down to half forward, comes to Cumberland. Hand pass wanted to get it to Miller, turns it over. McAvoy to Moore, hand pass to Shields, to Newcomb, who's off and running, trying to give it back to Moore. He's outnumbered. 3 Tigers there, one of them McIntosh picks it up for Richmond. Lifts a hand pass over to Baker. Just throws it back to McIntosh. Says that's okay. Kick cut out. Comes to Cumberland. Hand pass out in front of Baker on the wing.
Gatherson looks inboard. Presti is free. He marks at the edge of the centre square. Where's Tom Lynch? Top of the goal square. He goes short to Jaden Short, not 15, so gives it back to Prestia. Top of the arc of 50. Veers out on the right. Found space where there wasn't any. And goes bang. Prestia with his second. And after the Hawks have put a couple on in quick concession at the other end, quick succession, all of a sudden Dion Prestia answers back for the Tigers. A 67-point lead Richmond's way, 19-5-119 to the Hawks 7-10-52.
I'm cheering for the big bag. I'm like, get it in, Lynchy's one out, get it in there, give him a chance. But they managed to work their way through it, didn't they? Jaden Short just didn't feel like he had the space to be able to get it in long and deep to Tom Lynch, so found Presio, who just put the game on, really. Said, I think I can get a bit of space there. Harry Morrison right in his tail, but sort of got shepherded a little bit by Jarman Impey and gave him the time just to steady and then knock it through from about 40, 45 metres. He's had a good game there on Presio again. No doubt, you figure it in the votes.
Feature in the votes, I would have thought.
Get down to Jess in just a moment as Richmond break it out of the middle through Bolton. Kicks inside 50. Blank will lead Rewalt with a footy. Grabs it. Edwards has got him. Great tackle. Trying to hand it out today. Sweating on him is Rewalt. And Edwards follows up for a second effort. Lays another tackle. Ball up half forward for Richmond. Just inside the boundary line. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Ben McAvoy finishing up his career on the MCG in style. He's got a cut above the right eye, just getting patched up on the bench. He'll be back out there soon.
See that familiar sort of bandage around the bonds of Ben McAvoy, which we've seen a bit in his career, as more from the stoppage. Hand pass away to Days. He just tumbles a kick to half forward, knocked away by Gibcus, but straight into the path of Gunston, who's kicked 2 already in the term. Clever kick. Sarong runs onto it and takes the mark right half forward. 35 out.
Well, it wasn't... It was a bit better than a tumble punt, that one from Will Day. He got onto a nice little running Tory. Here's the class of Jack Gunston. The ball bounced favourably for him, I know, but there's still the touch just on the left boot to put it out in front of Sarong. Give him a chance to have another shot on goal.
Had a set shot earlier in the game, missed it. Jai Sarong in his second match, he moves in and kicks his first in the big time. The younger brother of the Fremantle midfielder, and the second in the Sarong family to make his debut in AFL footy just last week, picked 53 in the national draft, and the 19-year-old in his second game has a goal. Hawthorn with 3 at the 4 in this final term. Richmond's lead cut to 61, 19-5 to 8-10, 13 played in the last.
Well done to Jai Sarong. It's always a memorable goal, kicking your first in AFL football, so he'll remember that for the rest of his life, so well done to Jai, but almost collected a seagull there, that Will Day tumble punt. There was three little seagulls that had just made their way onto the half-forward flank there before and almost clipped one of them.
Your eyes never fail to miss. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Another late injury concern for the Tigers here. Shane Edwards has just gone down into the rooms. Looks like a right leg injury. He's down in the rooms with the doctors at the moment. They've already lost Jack Graham to a right foot injury, so not good news there for the Tigers.
Thanks, Jess. Trent Cotchin gets the clearance of the Tigers. Kicks towards half forward. Spoiled away by McGuinness at half back. Kick comes up towards Castagna, who can't quite take it down low. And a lot of players around the footy as Cotchin squeezes the kick inside 50. Hardwick peels off in front of Lynch. Gets the hand pass away to Sicily. Drives Hawthorn out of defence up to Morrison. He was held and tripped by Dan Rioli and will take the free kick at right half back. Richmond by 61 points.
Morrison goes inboard to Ward. Hand pass away to Impey. Swings it out wide to Morrison. On the wing for Hawthorn. Kicks down to half forward. Knocked away by Broad. Out wide. Gibcus will collect for Richmond. Hand pass to Broad. He'll go back to the top of the defensive goal square for Bolter. Tigers by 61. 15 played final term. Bolter's off and running. 2 bounces. Hand pass away to Baker. Heading down the southern boundary line. He chips it further afield and Short takes the mark. What a run he's on, Jaden Short, playing his 76th consecutive game, a best and fairest in a premiership year in that time. Goes along to the skipper of those 3 flags in Cotchin. He looks back inboard to Sonzi. He takes the mark centre square for Richmond.
Works it over the top. Finds Cotchin. The former captain veers out to the left. Kicks towards Lynch. Cumberland in front. They together couldn't claim onto the mark. Revolt at ground level. Cannon into by MP. Lynch gives it to Jack. Snaps on the left off the fat part of the foot. He centres it. Not sure it was intended that way. Going back with the flight was Pickett against Morrison. Morrison now the tackler on Dan Rioli. Back to Pickett. Fires offline. And misses to the right. The off-balance shot on goal. And the Tigers by 62 points. 16 minutes gone, final term.
Just feel the crowd all gasping every time the ball's going anywhere near Tom Lynch. So we all want to see the 10.
If he doesn't kick 10, I want to be flat.
In it comes Sicily to Granger. Barras, his kick a shocker, trying to hit Morrison. There's 3 Tigers there, and Pickett takes the mark. Meanwhile, in Sydney, we're 9 minutes into the game. That's on the game clock. Sydney 2-2, Collingwood 2 behind. Stegowie are laid out. And the goal kickers for Sydney, Heaney the first, Dane Rampy the second. A little unusual to see him on the goal kickers list as Miller goes long inside the forward 50. Lynch hands to it, can't mark, spills to Bolton, runs into 3 tacklers, caught holding the ball. Free kick Hawthorn in the back pocket. 62 points, Richmond's lead, but the Hawks have kicked 3 goals to 1 in this final term.
It's been a good matchup, having Sicily go on to Tommy Lynch. I know it hasn't been good for us because we want to see Tom kick the 10, but he's been pretty good on these 1v1s at the moment, James Sicily.
Empey short across the defensive goal face, finds Hardwick, takes a bounce, corralled by Lynch, kicks towards half-back. Shields had it spoiled away, well done by Baker, got it to Cochin, hand pass missed the target. Day in for the Hawks, hand pass to Shields, links up with Empey across half-back, kicks out to Ward, who marks it right half-back, through the middle of the MCG. Short to Dylan Moore. He looks inside 50. Gunston's free. Sends it towards him. Bolter gets back. Gets a fist onto it. Spoils it towards the boundary line and it rolls out of play. He's big and athletic, Noah Bolter, playing a few metres in front of Jack Gunston, but was able to get back and to get a crucial touch there.
It's a great effort not making contact with the body, because when you do that, you're always in danger of giving away a free kick. So a really smart play to put the fist into the ball and not collect Jack Gunston on the way through.
The boundary throw in, Miller just knocks it close to the boundary line for Broad. Jams it on the boot up towards the wing and just tries to punch it further afield. Rewalt and finds the safety of the boundary line, hit it away from Jekka. So a throw in on that southern wing.
Jack Scrimshaw going forward just gave Dylan Moore one of the all-time cooks. He's like, mate, now you're a backman. That's what happens to forwards all the time. Don't always kick it till you lace out.
62-point lead for Richmond. Midway through this final term, Miller grabs it out of the ruck for the Tigers. Hand pass to Sonzi. The teenager kicks across the ground for Richmond. Turns it over. Morrison takes the intercept mark. He can look up front. Gunston's his target. Oh, did very well. Just doubled back on the lead. Knew the ball was coming in. And wrong-footed Bolter to be able to take the mark at right half forward. He'll kick from right on the 50.
No, it's a good call, because he actually stopped and made Noah Bolter take awareness off him. And so once he looked for Jack's body, had already gone the other way, so it was actually quite smart protecting the space.
Veteran status, you can say now, the savvy vet in Jack Gunston, who had a quiet day until this final term with just a couple of behinds. He's got another now, hit the post, trying to make it 3 for the quarter. The applause downstairs, unfortunately, was for Tom Lynch, who's just hit the bench. He's got 8 goals. Hasn't kicked one in this final term, which is now 19 minutes old. Richmond by 61.
To that emotional post-game interview, Jack Gunston, after losing his father, spoke about what footy meant to him. Rioli, that's Dan Rioli, kicks towards half-back. Nankervis can't take the mark. Mitchell for the Hawks, trying to link up with Hardwick, lost the footy. Sicily with a hand pass to Impey, shovels a hand pass into the middle of the ground for Kajitsky. Off balance as he kicks partially smothered. Moore emerges with it. Hand pass to Tom Mitchell, trying to fend off Dan Rioli. You can't do that. And once he got a hand onto him, Dan Rioli was sticking the tackle. Out to Jaden Short, who takes the mark at left half back, and wider still for Nick Gloston. Richmond by 61 points, 20 minutes gone, final term.
And it concerns out of the game. Jack Graham subbed out, as Jess told us, with a right foot injury, and Shane Edwards was down in the rooms moments ago getting his right leg looked at, so close to finals. Some concerns for Richmond there with a couple of their premiership stars, as Vloston from the wing goes long to Rewalt, takes a pack mark. Sicily and Granger Barras involved, and Rewalt comes up with it. And here's Tom Lynch straight back on the ground. He's calling for it short, and Rewalt feeds him from 10 metres away.
Have a shot from 80, you reckon?
He's a big kick, but
he's gone back.
The man on the mark would be 55, 60 metres out. Lynch can't get it from there. He's going to have to kick it back to Rewalt. He's reaching for it one-handed, won't get there. Close to the boundary line, Nash picks it up, he's tackled. He'll have a ball up in the forward pocket, but Tom Lynch is back on the ground. Time on final term. He's kicked 8 goals. Richmond by 61 points.
We're all looking to Lynch. It was the old, I'll give it to you, you give it back to me. Throw him up in the forward pocket. Free kick Hawthorn's way. Tom Mitchell's going to take the advantage. Morris Rioli offers chase. Gets the hand pass over the top to Moore. Through the hands of Nash. Nowhere to go. McIntosh almost got him. He broke the tackle at the last moment. Back to Moore. Through the middle of the ground. The hand pass to Mitchell, who gives it back to Nash. Kicks out to the southern wing, where Shields takes them up. He looks to send Hawthorn towards half forward. Gunston's in a wrestle with Bolter. It clears him. Gibcus races back first onto it in front of Sarong. Bumped as he got his kick away. Up towards Baker and Morris Rioli, who flew in from the side. I think he almost claimed the mark. Umpire didn't see it that way, and now he's going to pay hole in the ball. It's a fine line between pleasure and pain. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Reports from the Tigers camp is that it is a left hamstring injury that the Tigers are looking at for Shane Edwards, so not great news there. Hopefully Tigers fans Well, for Tigers fans, it's not a serious injury.
That's no good at all. Thanks, Jess, for that, as Noah Bolter takes a hanger on the back of Luke Bruce. Hasn't had his best day, that champion Hawk, across the goal face to Gibcus. Gibcus goes long to the wing for Rewald, who wins it down. Hand pass to Nankervis. Here they go, the Tigs through the middle to Sonzi, to Cochin by hand. Hand pass to Prestia, fumbles. He's got Dan Rioli flying through from 60 out. Kicks for Lynch. Tried to get it on the half volley. Sicily right there with him. It clean bowls the pair. Still a live footy. Overrunning it. Granger Barras. Cumberland off the deck. He sockers it through but misses. Near side of behind. Tigers by 62 points. 4:50 left on the game clock. Tom Lynch is on 8 goals. A season high. His equal career best.
Inboard comes Sicily. It's a hard hit straight down the middle. Kajitsky takes the mark. Looks straight down the middle towards Gunston. He's in a wrestle with Gibcus, who gets a fist onto it. Hitting it with pace was Bruce. Straight through the gap. Dribbles it towards goal. Superb finish. Beautiful 1-2 between Gunston and Bruce, and this time Bruce was the crummer to kick his second. The Hawks have put on a good show in this final term, and the margin back to 56 points, 19-7, 121 the Tigers to Hawthorn, 9-11, 65. So 4 goals to 1 in this final term Hawthorn's way.
It was great work front and centre, wasn't it? Just watch the flight of the ball coming inside 50 and just got on the other side of his opponent. I think it was Bolter, got caught ball watching, and Bruce just took a bit of power, ran straight through the contest, kicked a very clever goal.
Jess Webster on the boundary.
Looks like the Tigers fans can breathe a sigh of relief. Shane Edwards has re-emerged from the rooms. He looks okay, standing on the interchange at the moment, looking to re-enter the game.
And who's that man sitting in front of you, Jess? What's he doing there?
What man are you speaking about?
Tom Lynch. What's he doing on the ground?
They've iced him.
That's unbelievable.
Come on, Dimmer.
He's kicked 8 goals, sneaks off the ground after the goal. That's most disappointing for the neutral, trying to will him to 10. So he's got 8, hasn't kicked one in the last, and he's off the ground with 4 minutes to play. As Richmond back in the middle, the kick goes out wide to Edwards, has just to Baker rather. Edwards back on the ground has just told us the kick goes wide to McIntosh. As the kick comes down to half forward, Rewald takes the mark for Richmond. 55 metres out. Hasn't rained all game, by the way, but it looks incredibly threatening at the moment. This thick grey veil hanging over the MCG. The floodlights on. 25 minutes into the final term. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Nankervis, can he get boot to ball? The skipper, not quite. Trickles through from behind. Richmond moved to 19-8, Hawthorn 9-11, 25 travelled final term. The Tigers by 57. They did lead by as many as 74 late in the third.
And at the SCG at Sydney by 12 points, 3-2-20 to Collingwood 1-2-8. Jordan De Goey was a late out there for the Magpies. Jarman Impey brings the Hawks back into play. Kicks up towards Sicily, who takes the mark at right half back on the members' side. Plays on, but not really sure where to go. Thought about the hand pass to Morrison, now drives it long towards Gunston. He and Bolter in a wrestle, and Noah Bolter takes a good one-handed mark with his left mitt. Turns and looks inboard. Baker has space inside the defensive 50. Takes a bounce and now a second. Gets to right half back. Tries to draw his opponent in Ward. Works the hand pass to McIntosh. Out to Morris Rioli Jr. Middle of the southern wing. His kick is over the head of Cumberland. Charging in. Sarong. Tackle by Cumberland. Footy locked underneath. In fact, it was Jecker who got back, and he was the player wedged into the turf under Noah Cumberland. And the umpire will ball it up at right half forward for the Tigers.
Tom, last week we hadn't had a single player in the competition kick more than 7 goals in a game this year, and now Kennedy last week, Lynch today from the stoppage. Rewald hand pass to Morris Rioli to Edwards to Castagna. He's got one. The sub pops one through, and Richmond have 20. 28-128. Hawthorn 9-11, 65. The Tigs back out by 63 points, but it's all a bit elementary from here. 27 minutes into the final term.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a it hasn't been one-sided this last quarter. It's been a good fight from the Hawks, hasn't it? But the Tigers have probably put the cue in the rack and just doing enough to keep an arm's length. Obviously, iced a couple of players.
Do you reckon Jack Rewalt would be a little bit grieved to not being on the bench at the moment? He's only played 323 games.
He thinks he's that important that he should be. So, mate, you haven't kicked one today. You've got Koch and Prestia, McLaughlin and Lynch, I reckon they're pretty good players. No real worries there. But Jack would be, no doubt, he'd be thinking about it. He always finds a way to worry about the little things that don't really matter.
Hasn't kicked a goal today, Jack, either. So he'd be keen to join the party with 20 goals on the scoreboard. Back in the middle, McAvoy wins down the tap for the Hawks. Hand pass to O'Meara, to Moore, who works it back to half-back. Long kick up towards McAvoy, just couldn't quite complete the mark as Pickett made good contest from the kick from McGuinness. Dan Rioli spins out of traffic. Hand pass to Gibcus. Back to Dan Rioli, just kicks up the outside of the boot. Up towards Castagna, he's outmanoeuvred, and Sicily takes the mark.
Hand pass away to Mitchell, to Moore on his knees. He's now under a bit of pressure from short. Ball comes out between the legs of Morrison. Clean pick up for Moore a second time. Still on the wing. Hand pass to Mitchell, looks inboard to Impey. Milestone game he'd like to forget, and he's 150th, team down by 63 points. Kicks inside the forward 50. Fist comes from Tarrant into the path of Shields. Chucks it on the boot. Misses. Shooting goalward to the near side or behind. 29 minutes into the final term. Richmond by 62.
And approaching quarter time at the SCG. Sydney by 14 over Collingwood. For some of our listeners, we'll take you there next. For everyone else, it's Essendon and Port Adelaide from Docklands. Tigers through Noah Bolter in the back pocket. Kicks up towards Pickett. Can't complete the mark. Castagna's onto it. Works a hand pass forward to Nankervis, centre wing. Kicks out in front of Shea Bolton, who races towards it. Granger Barras is there trying to protect the space. And in the end, Finn McGuinness sees it across the boundary line for a throw-in.
He's done well today, Finn McGuinness, hasn't he? He's kept Shea Bolton to 13 disposals, so he's been fantastic on him all day, just trailing him absolutely everywhere.
See, the crowd looked well over 40, 59,338, so a few more than what I gave it credit for. Great to see so many footy fans in for the second last round of the home and away season. Free kick off the ball for a hold, and McGuinness is going to take it. He goes short to Jarman Impey. He has it at left half back.
Goes short to O'Meara. Half hour mark in this final term. Sends his kick down to Morrison. Pickett leaping over the top, trying to spoil it out of play. Had a fresh air shot. Hand pass away to Bruce, who's going to kick long to the top of the goal square, and Camden McIntosh comes through, and the volleyball spike just whacks it through for a rush behind.
Just scooted in, Corby.
He did. He did, the scooter man himself. 61 points, Richmond's lead, half hour mark, final term.
It's like a TV box where he pulled out the scooter for Damien Hardwick in front of the team meeting. It's good humour from Camden McIntosh. As Dan Rioli brings Richmond back into play, short to Baker. He takes the mark in the left back pocket. Over half an hour gone in the final term. So time starting to expire. Baker off the outside of the boot, up to the wing. Big boy McAvoy flew, almost took the mark. Riding on the shoulders of Nankervis, who runs into a dead end. And he's locked up just in front of the two benches. That would have almost been a signature mark for Ben McAvoy.
Got to pay that on.
Umpire with a sense of theatre could have just paid it, not to be. Thrown up, they do battle once more. McAvoy wins the tap, boundary side. Mitchell can't keep it alive, and it goes out of play.
.61 points in the lead for Richmond. They did lead by as many as 74 late in the third. Boundary throwing on the wing. Nankervis out of the ruck. Hand pass and turnover. But a big win for the Tigers. For the fifth time in 6 years, they're going back to September. And a chance to win a fourth flag in that period. I'm not sure I'd want to play them in an elimination final. The Tigers home by 61.
Whether you will see us with a grin, risking head and shin, and we're behind the never mind, we'll fight and win for we're from Tigerland. We never wink until the final siren's gone. Like the tiger of old, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tigerland. We're from Tigerland.
The great dynasty of the modern era flags in 17, 19 and again in 20 going back-to-back. They missed the finals last year. They're on their way back with 12.5 wins. They cannot miss from this position. They kicked 6 goals to 1 in the opening term and then cruised from that point on. 31 points they led by at quarter time, 28 at the half. It was an onslaught in the third quarter. They showcased their very best, kicking 9 goals to 1. And in the final term, Hawthorn outscored them 4 goals to 2. For whatever that's worth, the Tigers home by 61.
Tigerland, a fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and shin. We're behind and never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never wake until the final siren's gone. Like the tiger alone, we're strong and we're bold, for we're from Tiger. Yeah, we're from Tigerland.
Tom Lynch with an equal career best. He kicked 8 goals, his best haul as a Tiger. Meanwhile, 2 for Prestia, 2 for Edwards, 2 for Cumberland and 2 for Morris Rioli, and then singles for Koch and Castagna, Shea Bolton and Ben Miller. Meanwhile for Hawthorn, 2 each for Gunston and Bruce, and then singles for Sicily, McAvoy, Kajitsky, Shields and Sarong. 28-128 to 9-13-67. The Tigers by 61 points.
At a time in which some teams are in danger of dropping out of the top 8 or the top 4, the Tigers are proving they could be the danger come September. The thoughts of Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy, your experts on ABC Sport.
Yeah, well, it was a really professional performance today from Richmond. They were just too good for that first 3 quarters, weren't they? The third quarter was obviously the highlight where they just powered on and kicked goal after goal, but they were just terrific for basically all day. Hawthorn, to their credit, fought on the last quarter, but it was all
game's done.
Too little, too late. But they were a real professional performance today from the Tigers.
It was, wasn't it? It's clinical there in that. They started the game red hot as well, and that's where they set it up. I think they put to bed any hope of the Hawks coming out and saying, you know what, we might muck up this finals foray that you guys are going for. 10 inside 50s to zip, and they didn't put it on the scoreboard then, but it was like we're controlling the game here. The way they were able to control the ground, keep it in their front half. I reckon it would have taken at least 10 minutes before they even entered their front half, the Hawks. So it was professional, led by obviously big Tommy Lynch up front, but a couple of their midfielders, Koch and Prestia, really good. Jaden Short, really good. Your boy Dan Rioli again, just electric off half back.
Great feature in the votes, I would have thought today.
Dan Rioli, the honourable mention probably.
You got the votes, do you, Lids?
I've been handballed that really quickly. He doesn't handball much, Murph, but when he does, he makes them count.
I like to bring my teammates in the game. Lids, you know that.
Goal assist. So, look, they'll be very happy with where they're at. Hopefully Jack Graham's foot isn't too serious, and obviously Shane Edwards was okay towards the end as well. So keep maintaining that relatively clean bill of health, and it's sets up another good game against Essendon next week.
Just quickly, Murph, he's walking around with the tracksuit top on, still got his boot on, Jack Graham.
He must have just been stood on probably and thought there's no point playing on with a bruised foot. So hopefully that's just the case, because I think you mentioned they've only got 3 on the injury list, do they, Corby? Which is extraordinary at this time of the year to have Grimes and Dusty Martin and Thompson Dow being the only 3 that have got some form of injury keeping them out of playing football. So a lot of credit goes to their high performance staff, and then obviously just the preparation of the players being able to stay healthy this time of year.
So 12th win for the Tigers. They're 12 wins, 1 draw and 8 losses. It means they jump up to 7th position on the AFL ladder, a percentage of 118. They're 2 points ahead of Carlton in 8th position thanks to their draw, and meaning they will feature in September regardless of the final round against the Bombers at the MCG on Saturday night. Tom Lynch kicked 3 goals in the first, 1 in the second, 4 in the third. The only quarter he didn't kick a goal was the last. And Damien Hardwick decided I'd seen enough. Let's put him on the bench and prepare for finals.
Yeah, disappointing from Dimmer, that. That wasn't through lack of effort, though. Like, they were trying to get him, but James Sicily was actually very good, as you made mention, Murph, in that last quarter. Outbodied him, but I reckon when you've got 8, you probably don't work as hard to try and cash in as much. You say, it's a pretty good day already. I reckon I'm getting top votes.
No, he would have had one eye on, obviously, next week and then the finals campaign. Big Tommy Lynch, and no doubt Dimmer Hardwick thought the same thing, taking his star forward off a couple of times throughout that last quarter. So, for all of us who hear all the neutral watchers, we're all pretty disappointed we didn't get to see him kick 10, but he was just eye-watering in that third quarter, wasn't he? He was fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt he was.
He was a dominant show, and really, when you think about what Richmond could be in September, if they get Martin and maybe Grimes, then if they can get that sort of dominance in the middle of the ground, you're going to have to get your matchup right when you're on Tom Lynch, because he has the potential to rip a game apart.
Yeah, and that's it. Like just having such a big target that you can you kick down there with trust that it's either going to be marked or it's going to come to ground with a soft drop, because he doesn't. Very rarely do you see a big defender come in and clear the area. Because he is so big, like it's just a little soft drop that brings in, Shea Bolton when he's down there, Noah Cumberland, Castagna if he's in the side starting team, and Morris Rioli, it must be that exciting coming in, knowing that ball's only falling in the vicinity. You can really narrow your focus as to where you're running versus being like, geez, I don't know where this is going. Any big defender's going to get a big fist on this, and I'm going back over my head.
And having two key targets who are so experienced in Riewoldt and Lynch, they just never get in each other's way.
Yeah.
So, whereas conversely, you look at other teams around the comp like Harry Mackay and Charlie Kerner are still working out how to play with one another. They sometimes get in each other's way, whereas just very rarely at Richmond do you see Jack Riewoldt sort of spoil Tom Lynch or vice versa. They know how to isolate. And they get these 1v1s, and they're so dangerous in the air. If it's not Tom Lynch's day, it's going to be Jack Riewoldt. So they're a really dangerous combination. And
they found a third medium-sized forward in Noah Cumberland, and then Morris Rioli Jr. to put the pressure on.
Well, that's it. Noah Cumberland is an exciting player that just continues to get shots. And I'm not sure how many times we mentioned, Corby, you probably got the stats on it, Morris Rioli Jr. and how excited we got when he's around the footy, because his speed and the ability to stick tackles and take bigger players to ground is as good as any smaller bloke. And
are you saying, did I keep stats on how many times we got excited?
Oh, you are the stats man.
You are the stats man.
Maybe that's one I'll have to track for next week.
One without notice, mate. But
he had 12 disposals with 21 pressure acts. Jane Newcombe led the way with 25 pressure acts, and Jarman Empey with 21, but Toby Nankervis at 21 as well.
Yeah, but they're in and around the nut where he's out of the game for half of it, Morris Rioli Jr., so he's doing his work only in the forward 50 essentially. So yeah, it's a pretty good game, I would have thought, from a small forward.
That's Sellers' famous line, run, tackle and harass. He certainly does that for the Tigers. Winners by 61 points over the Hawks. It's quarter time at the SCG. Sydney 4-4-28 to Collingwood 2-3-15. Jordan De Goey was a late out, so goals to Heaney, Franklin, Papley and Rampy. His first goal since 2016. Josh Dacos and Brodie Myercheck for the Pies. Let's go and join the Tigers with Jess Webster.
Led into the rooms by Tom Lynch, who kicked a big bag of 8 on the MCG today. A small contingent of family and friends in the rooms, but plenty of happy Tigers fans in the stands as they qualify for yet another finals series. Winners by 61 points over the Hawks. Let's have a listen to the song.
Richmond winners by 61 points over the Hawks. Sometimes a song can tell you the gusto, what it meant to them. That was probably not one of the more rousing renditions.
No, it didn't sound like it, did it, Clinchy? And I remember years ago, Wayne Campbell was always into us. He was, just slow it down a bit, boys. You're singing it way too fast. And even then, the boys couldn't get their bop, bop, bop in because they were going so quick. But yeah, it does. I think that they're getting quicker and quicker as the years go on. So,
were you responsible for that bit of the song, Lids?
No. I was just a belter of it, mate. I didn't add any little bits. It was more Jack that used to like to add the funny stuff. He thought it was funny.
So Tom Lynch up to 55 goals for the season, courtesy to his 8 today. He's behind Charlie Kerno, though, with 63 for the season, so can't see him getting caught. Charlie's got, a 4-goal advantage on Jeremy Cameron of the Cats, and a bit further back, Tom Hawkins on 55. Our Northern Territory listeners are about to head to Sydney and Collingwood. Do you want to fire off the votes, Lids, for us?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we got a couple of honourable mentions, Dan Rioli being one of those. I know you're flat. Murph and Corb probably. One to Trent Cotchin. I thought he was outstanding today. Going a good way to get himself another contract, hang around another year. 29, 17 contested, 8 clearances and a goal. 2, I went to Dion Prestia. Just pipped Trent. because he had 3 more clearances and kicked another goal. So 29 for him, 11 clearances, 5 of those centre bounce and 2 goals. How could you go past the big fella up front? Tom Lynch, 8 goals, 13 score involvements. It was his day and he cashed in.
The 3 votes going the way of Tom Lynch, 2 to Prestia and 1 to Trent Cotchin in the ABC Footballer of the Year from Brett Delidio.
I saw Trent Cotchin had his kids in the song.
Yep. A lot of players are doing that these days, don't they?
So is there anything to read into that?
No, because I think Ben Miller had his little bub too, I saw on the screen. So
yep. Ben Miller's not retiring.
I've noticed with Richmond and Collingwood throughout the year, there's always kids in the circle, so they're certainly getting the family members in. Is COVID sort of protocols at the moment in terms of going into the change rooms, has that changed?
I think it's
now that they're trying to probably keep people out now with finals.
So I think it's a little tighter, but family only, I think.
Yeah.
I think Craig McRae said that Collingwood have really tried to embrace the post-pandemic, trying to get all the family and friends, and Jamie Elliott's taken that up. He's got nephews and nieces into the song, and not siblings, but any family can get in. So for our Northern Territory listeners, you're heading to the SCG. It's quarter time there between the Swans and the Pies. Here at the MCG, the Tigers secured a September spot, winners by 61 points. Thanks for your company on ABC Sport. And for everyone else, we continue on. Let's head straight back down to the Richmond rooms with Jess Webster.
Thanks, Clinchy. Here with Jayden Short. Jayden, you had one job to do today, and that was to secure the 4 points and secure a place in the finals, and you did it very well. Is relief the overwhelming emotion for you right now?
Oh, I mean, it is obviously good to get the 4 points. Hawthorn's still a very good team, we feel, so we knew we had to bring our best, and we're pretty wrapped with the 4 points, yeah. And
it was the Tom Lynch show, particularly in that third quarter. He finished with 8 for the day. Were you hoping that he would kick 10?
Oh, you're always hoping, but I mean, it's a tough game. I think he's got the toughest role in the team, to be honest, trying to mark those and then kick them. But geez, he's special to play with, and we're lucky to have him.
And what was the most pleasing aspect of the way that you guys performed today?
Probably just the 4-quarter effort. I mean, we had a fair lead going into the last quarter, so just for the boys to stick to it. Obviously, it was a decent breeze out there, but just the boys to stick in the contest and finish the way we wanted to. So that was probably the most pleasing thing for me, but it was a good 4-quarter effort.
Jayden Short with us on Grandstand AFL. Let's head upstairs to the box. Over to you, Brett Delidio and Mark Murphy.
Thanks, Jess. Shorty, it's Lids here, mate. Obviously, we spoke about Tom Lynch and his big performance today. How flat do you reckon on a scale of 1 to 10 Jack Riewoldt is that he didn't get on the board?
Oh, yeah, he was pretending he wasn't Lids, you know him, but he would have liked 10 himself. We were talking about it, but Jack's he's been unreal this year, and obviously Tom's a great player, and as is Jack, but that is work so well together, and we're very lucky to have them both.
Mate, let's talk about your own performance. You're really thriving that more forward to centre play, I reckon, going into the midfield. 26 today, 10 score involvements, mate. You're loving your time in the midfield?
Yeah, it is. It is pretty cool, to be honest, Brett. I've obviously sort of made a career as a backman and sort of that run and carry backman, and then to get shifted into midfield, obviously there's been a few challenges with obviously the body size, a nice 73 kilo kid in the middle, but it has been a bit challenging. I've enjoyed the new challenge, to be honest, 8 years in, and I've got some great people around me to sort of show me the ropes, and they're teaching me a lot, and I've really enjoyed my time in there.
Yeah, Jayden, Mark Murphy, I'd like to echo that from Lids. I've really enjoyed your run and dash through the midfield. Was that something that you went to the coaches with saying, I wouldn't mind getting up the ground a little bit more, or was that the coaches sort of led inspiration to get you through the mids?
Nah, to be honest, Mark, I started my career as a small forward, lasted one game and got dropped, so I always wanted to be behind the footy. I felt I could change a game probably with my kicking from behind the ball, but I mean, I think I had to fill a gap against West Coast early in the year, and I sort of went in there and I probably got a little bit too much of the footy for my liking, to be honest, and they sort of kept me there. I had a mid-year review and asked if I could go back to the back line, but I'm sort of stuck in there now, and it's good to challenge yourself, and I'm just really enjoying it.
Have you sort of worked a little bit with sort of Liam Baker? He's gone back there, maybe filling your role, and then you can sort of swap from, whether the game sort of requires one or two of you to be down back or go through the midfield?
Yeah, it was a little bit like that. I mean, a couple of weeks ago I went down to the half back line again. I think got 3 goals kicked on me, so they put the trusty old Bakes back there. I wasn't very accountable, so they put me back into the midfield. But he's a great player, Bakes, and I mean, you could probably see from watching how important he is to our back line. great win in the footy, and just his ball use out of the back line's amazing. So I'm just really enjoying having him back there as well.
Jaden Short with us on Grandstand AFL. Jaden, I think we spoke to Dion Prestia a few weeks ago where he said it's got a similar feeling of 2019 to it, the way that you've been able to come home strong. Do you feel like you can make noise in September? How do you think the group's position compared to, I guess, your previous flag tilts?
Yeah, it's sort of hard to tell. I mean, every year changes. I mean, every one of those flag years is different, and obviously this year's different as well. We've had a few boys go down, a few boys come back in, but obviously, the boys are having fun, and that's all it's about. And yes, to win games, and obviously there's some great teams in that top 8. So just really want to challenge everyone as best as we can, and see where we can go. I
just need you to settle a few things that we spoke about during the broadcast. First of all, is Dustin Martin at the game today watching?
He is at the game, yeah. He's pretty pumped, and we're looking forward to getting him back. He's a special person, special player, and he's a big part of our club. So we can't wait to have him back.
Is he close?
I think so. I hope so.
Yep. That's good news. The other one is, did you buy a scooter from Camden Macintosh?
I did buy a scooter, and she's already broken, so he's ripped us off. Hey, boys, I've got to head into a meeting, so thanks very much for that.
No worries. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. Jaden Short
boys.
with us on ABC Sport, firing his best bullets and wrapping up the interview. I don't mind that. Take control.
Yeah.
Breaking the scooter.
The scooter question ended the interview. Yeah, he thought, I'm not sticking around.
No, it's turned to rubbish.
These blokes,
yeah.
Didn't get to ask my question about Morris Rioli Jr. in terms of speed, but anyway, I think the Tigers are going to be around for a few more weeks, so we'll have a few more opportunities to touch on them. So about 9 minutes' time, and then we'll head to Docklands for Essendon taking on Port Adelaide. Just final thoughts on Hawthorn, sort of where you've seen their progression. Obviously not their day today. Ben McAvoy's final game on the MCG. He'll finish his career down in Tassie against the Western Bulldogs, and I guess from the side in which Sam Mitchell inherited with 7 wins, 2 draws and 13 losses last year under Alistair Clarkson, can you see some blue shoots to sort of Hawks fans to look forward to next year?
Absolutely. No, I think if I'm looking at their team today that came out, the first guy I go to, John Newcomb. I love what he does in and around the nut. From a guy coming halfway through the year. Are we talking about?
Sorry, we're just rattled because he said blue shirts.
What plant's blue?
I was trying to quote Murph's good mate Brendan Bolton and mixed it up.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh dear, you knew where I was going.
Yeah, well, I knew where you were going. I just wanted to let it go, so I don't pick up on bad stuff.
You're a good mate.
John Newcomb, halfway through the year last year, comes in, and now he's nearly their number 1 midfielder. I love what he's added. Dylan Moore, another guy probably off the rookie list, to be one of their more consistent performers, rolling through the midfield now. And a guy who did a great job today and shutting one of, being quoted as from a few players or a few ex-players that he's the most exciting player to watch, Shea Bolton. Finn McGuinness, I thought he was fantastic today. Found a real role for him, can run absolutely all day, tough, good size. Just being able to lock down and nullify one of the game's best players.
Yeah, and I think if you went into the season as a Hawthorn fan to have 8 wins, I think they've been pretty impressive the last month anyway. So, I think they're on the right track. They just need to include, obviously, some new fresh faces next year through the draft and maybe trading-wise, whether or not a few of their senior guys move on or not. It'll be interesting to see. Probably Tom Mitchell's probably been the one that has been talked about, whether or not he's up for trade and where he fits inside the Hawthorn camp. So that'll be, I think, an interesting one that'll play out.
Well, him and Jager O'Meara, I wonder where they're both at, because Jager came down with huge raps, being this unbelievable midfielder from the Suns, but he's playing almost like a half forward role in and out of the middle. When was the last time you remember Jager dominating a game? It just doesn't seem to be happening as much for him, and I don't know whether that's because of his role or body's not quite there. But you'd love to see him take control a little bit more, I think, for the player that he has been, but also probably the money that he's been paid there.
Yeah, to me it looks like he's a pure midfielder. A half-forward flanker, you need to have a certain amount of tricks or be electric or have some sort of strength of yours, whether you're getting really hard up the ground and supporting defence and then working really hard back offensively, sort of like a Kane Lambert sort of style, and make that sort of your one wood. But he almost looks like he's more of a sort of a power runner and power athlete out of stoppages. So I'm not sure the half-forward flank suits him. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with some of these senior-type players going forward and whether they're going to fit into Sam Mitchell's side going down the track over the years.
The 2 best clearance players today was Ben McAvoy with 4 and John Newcomb with 4 as well. So that's sort of a bit of the question in terms of what's their best midfield mix, and can Tom Mitchell be that bull who gets the clearance and bursts out of the middle, or can he actually be the provider who can complement someone who might be able to do that role, so he gets first possession and feeds it to someone else.
Yeah, well, I think that's what it is, isn't it?
Well, Tom Mitchell gets you by weight of disposals, so he's probably got to have 30 to 35 to really impact the game, because he's not one that really breaks the lines. He's sort of one that always uses his hands and tries to include his teammates around him. So, it's going to, as we sort of mentioned previously, it's going to be interesting to see if he's in the plans of Sam Mitchell going forward.
At the SCG at Sydney, 5-5-35, leading Collingwood 2-4-16 in the second quarter action there from the SCG. Jordan De Goey was late out there, and Trent Bianco came into the side for the Pies. So some green shoots there for Hawthorn fans under Sam Mitchell. Is there a conversation around sort of Jack Gunston, Luke Bruce? Would he have to provide much to convince them that we could potentially turn this around quickly in 2 years, 3 years maybe? Or
yeah, I think both those two boys have shown that they're willing to stick around and get through it and see out their careers at Hawthorn. The Giants were heavily into Luke Bruce last year. He didn't want to leave. Obviously a contracted player. He's just, no, well, I'm not leaving. I want to stay here at Hawthorn. So that to me suggests that Luke Bruce isn't leaving. He's kicked the most goals this year for him as well. So it's that's a pretty easy one. Jack Gunston, I still think when he's on the park, he's one of their best forwards. So
I can't say either of those two.
You can't lose them all. You can't lose every single older player. Liam Shields is probably one that you'd expect that would hang him up, but who knows? Like, it's you don't. I'll never be one in that position where you're writing off older blokes and saying, right, you got to get out, because you need that experience at the top.
But it feels like that sort of window already went, the post sort of flag era, where you've still got the hangover of guys that are close enough to their physical prime, like what St Kilda did, where they obviously pushed guys like Del Sano and Goddard and stuff out of the door to be able to get some draft capital for them. With all due respect, you sort of look through the St Kilda list and the Hawthorn list, and those guys that played in the flag are either sort of a little long in the tooth, and the next tier of players, I'm not sure you're going to be reeling in first-round picks or even high second-round picks for them.
No, and that's where they tried to top up with Tom Mitchell and Jaeger O'Meara. For whatever reason, Tom Mitchell in the prime of his life breaks his leg, which is bloody unlucky, but... And Jaeger O'Meara just hasn't been able to get the consistency, I don't think, of being able to play week on week.
Yeah, but there's not a club in the comp, is there, that's giving you a first-round pick for those guys?
Not now.
No, not at all.
No, but traditionally it's been a third-round pick for Luke Hodge and those sort of Jordan Lewis guys at the back of their career. So you look at Luke Bruce's 31 and Jack Gunston 30. For a side competing like Melbourne, it's sort of been linked about whether they'd be the type of club that might ask around Jack Gunston as that sort of medium size forward, so something for him potentially to consider.
Well, if you wanted to, if he's chasing to try and get on the coattails of success again at the other end, well, yeah, you have to entertain it, wouldn't you? But I can't see it happening personally. I think he'll probably see out his days there at the Hawks. He's been pretty successful himself. He's won 3 flags, hasn't he, Jack? I think, and so's Luke Bruce. They've been pretty good.
15 games this season for Jack Gunston. He's had the challenges with his body over the last couple of years, so that might be another reason to stay at the Hawks. So I guess wrapping things up, finals aspirations for Richmond. They're in 7th position. When you look at your number 1, 2, 3 competitors, where do you see Richmond in that list?
Well,
do you have Geelong comfortable 1?
I've got Geelong still comfortable 1, but I think we're talking about it at the start of the show, in that there's a lot of teams that would put their hand on the trophy at the moment and say, well, why not us? And I think Richmond, given that we know how well they play this ground, there'd be some nervous teams. As you said at the final wrap-up there, Corby, at the end of the game, you'd be nervous if you run up against them early, but they have shown that they can be beaten as well. So, they're not the invincible side that they were come the end of 2017 through 18, 19, 20, but there's some cracks there, but geez, they're certainly saying, look out for us.
Yeah, I don't think there's any side in the comp at the moment that you just look at and go, well, they're unbeatable. So I think any team on their given day, especially in that probably top 5, I think, can really, lay claims to a premiership. You could see Melbourne, Geelong, Collingwood. I really like Richmond, but you could still see Sydney and Fremantle. They're all good enough to win it. I can't see Brisbane winning it. To be honest, they haven't really impressed me too much over the past sort of month.
Bit flaky, you reckon?
Bit flaky. And I think their sort of game style, they get opened up against good sides.
They don't defend, Mel Michael reckons.
So if you were to blow the siren at the end of this weekend, most likely Sydney will jump up the ladder and Collingwood could slide down. So you could have a scenario where the first week of finals, Freo in 5th position could be playing whoever's in 8th, whether that's Carlton or the Bulldogs, and Collingwood could be in that mix where they play Richmond 6th versus 7th potentially.
That's exciting.
Give me that. Give me Richmond, Collingwood, Carlton, Collingwood, some sort of combination of the big power clubs here at the G. Imagine that.
It'll be rocking. You
90,000.
organise it. We do the game and specials. That'd be really good to be at.
Corby's got good pull power. You're chatting to the right guy. But we get a little warm-up next week with Collingwood and Carlton. Will you wander down to Lygon Street, Murph, and offer a word of inspiration to your former club?
No, I'll let them go. I think they, as I mentioned in the pre-game, I think they'll be pretty buoyant by the way in which they played last night. I thought that was probably their best performance of the year, even though they didn't get the win. I think they should be pretty confident in the way in which they went about it. Their pressure around the ball was really good. Their skills were quite good. It was good to see Harry Mackay play with a real presence last night. So if Harry and Charlie can really get going, it's going to be quite scary for other sides. But I think their sort of last month had been pretty sketchy. So last night was really good to see them play some good footy.
Who makes it, Lids, Blues or Dogs?
Geez, I don't know. So much he wants to see the Dogs just get over the line.
He's looking at Mark Murphy as he says that.
Yeah, geez, I don't know. They were impressive yesterday, the Blues, and it's better for us. As,
big crowds at the G finals. We want to see him play.
Better for footy if it's the Blues.
Took a while, but I think he's convinced him. Thanks very much for your company on Sunday afternoon footy. Thanks to Jess Webster, to Adam back in the studio, and to Stuart Hollywood Baker, the Tigers winners by 61 points. We take you to Docklands for Essendon and Port Adelaide to close out the weekend's footy. Andrew Mays, Joel Peterson, Brad Sewell, Chris Johnson and Lauren Borden, and the SCG, the Swans lead 37-16. Thanks for your